Did I brush my teeth? Oh yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me down there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
There you are.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. It is 6:30 p.m. on January 6th, 2026. Happy New Year, everybody. So the first thing, do we have any additions to the agenda for today?
Use of the town hall space at the same time as town board meeting times.
All right. Do we want to talk about that as part of the administrator update, maybe?
Yeah.
Tag that onto that.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other additions to the agenda? No. All right. Do we have any conflicts of interest tonight? I'll start, as always, when we're talking about budget, just a note that my wife is on the board of the library, which does get town money.
And the same for my wife, who's the town clerk.
Any other conflict of interests? Nope. All right. Excuse me. Any public comment? Do we have anybody? Mary Ann's on the call, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mary Ann, did you have any public comment?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay.
I guess I could tell you, but you probably know this already, that I have put in my consent of candidacy form. So I am running for select board for the 3-year term for 2026.
Yep. Excellent. Welcome to the race.
Thank you.
And that's it for public anyway, right? We don't have anybody else on the call.
Mhm.
All right. Excuse me. I did not have a sore throat when we started this meeting. All right, next item is approving the minutes from the December 16th meeting and the December 22nd meeting.
I will move to approve the minutes from the December 16th and 22nd meeting.
Second. I like that, Chuck.
There's no lag tonight.
Yeah, it's me. But you said we're on a different Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
I said it before Curtis got done speaking so that it would come through on time.
Is there any further discussion? No, all in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you. Next item up. Highway update. What do we got, Rick?
Been pretty busy with these little storms. We use a lot of sand, a lot of frozen sand.
I was thinking this is gonna be like last winter again, million
Yeah.
little storms burning through sand.
Yeah, we burned through a lot of sand, a lot of salt. A lot of rain, cold weather, sand piles. Pretty froze up. Had a few truck issues, nothing that couldn't fix in house. One truck had a clutch, we had to change for the hydraulics. My truck had a brake issue, the STM bracket broke, so we've had a few issues we had to take care of, but other than that, everything seems to be going pretty good.
So these are just I guess a continuation of what we've seen with the aging vehicles.
Actually, the clutch was on the newer truck,
Really?
yeah. Yeah, we just heading up down the road and quit. Other than that, it's still going.
Any questions from any of the board members?
Do you need anything from us?
You want a flamethrower for the
Oh, what?
sand pit? Like a flamethrower?
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
I'm up this week, hopefully, it's talking up a little bit. I don't know if we, at some point, we need to discuss personnel. Part-time. Helping full-time.
We can, I know we've been looking at that in executive session on prior stuff. Is there something urgent we need to?
No,
Go through,
no, I
okay.
didn't know. Something.
Yeah, what I would suggest is maybe we set that up for an executive session in an upcoming meeting so that, so you're, got all your thoughts together, and we can talk about it out of public. Do it that way. Okay. Is there anything budget wise that you need us to know, or is there anything we need from you to kind of try to wrap up the budget here? I think your stuff has been pretty stable.
Yeah, I haven't seen the latest. Anything changing, I'm gonna see that.
I think the only changes that are in there from what was originally submitted are things that are related to pay increases, things like that. I don't think there's anything else in there that's changed. Keep me honest on the scale. I don't.
Just the truck payment thing, we want to do the careful with that.
But the truck payment's coming in. Oh, that's right. So we have been, thank you. So we have been going through, looking at trying to get a longer term plan in place for the equipment fund. So we're gonna start to ramp up the amount that we put in there. I don't, excuse me, I don't know, Paul, if maybe you want to give a more detailed update on that, or Curtis, for some of the work that's going on there. But the intent is looking at it to try to make sure that we don't just wait till stuff breaks and then pay through the nose to, or continue paying huge repair bills instead of, if we're gonna pay that money, we might as well be paying it to get a new piece of equipment rather than having the old piece limp along. Curtis or Paul, is there anything you wanna add to that? I think you've been working with,
Yeah, I was gonna say, Paul, Rick and I have been sitting, going through like what the replacement strategy looks like for
Yeah.
equipment. So we've already kind of talked about the order that we think maybe makes sense to start replacing it, but as far as budget stuff goes, the conclusion is really we have kind of shuffled where we're putting money around to start bolstering the amount that we're putting into the equipment fund to start to deal with getting equipment purchased.
all right, anything else for Rick tonight?
There will be a point where we do want to start getting some pricing for that equipment list, just so we can, if there's something we want in 2 years, say, we just want to start looking at that and make that, have something from a vendor.
Yeah, good. That's a good point, right? We want to, the budgeting is one thing, the equipment selection is another. Obviously, you're gonna have to play a key role in identifying exactly what we need and identifying what's a reasonable price for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I know we had some items on that list that were more immediate, and so we could probably discuss those a little more specifically at some point, the ones that are in the nearest term.
So maybe if we've got a couple of things for Rick, looking at equipment list, looking at personnel, any other sort of, long-term planning things we need, maybe we should have not a highway only meeting, but a highway focused meeting at some point once we kind of get through the budgeting and the town report, maybe at some point in February or early March, have a more complete review of everything that you need and make sure stuff is teed up, that we got a plan for how we're gonna attack it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll try not to do it in the middle of the worst mud. All right. Great. All right. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep, thanks.
All right. Do we, let's see, is the window stuff, is that part of the Murph grant topic? Should we rearrange to kind of cover that so that you don't have to sit here for all of the other budget discussions?
As much as I.
If you love local government.
Listening to other towns' local government.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can jump into that if you'd like.
yeah. So let's jump to that one. If we can. So Tierney, I don't know if you wanted to tee this one up or if there's other stuff you want to go in with.
Yeah, so I added the contracts for everything, so they're separate contracts with separate vendors. Two Rivers has already gone through the RFP process and the decision-making process, so these are just the contracts that we'll need to sign off on if we want the work done. If you disagree with any of the contracts, I'll have to work with Two Rivers to see if we can make an addendum or anything. But they're pretty standard. So we've got one for interior storm windows, one for the building envelope, which is just sealing and making sure all of our doors and windows are weatherproof. And then there's some window repairs that'll be for the windows over here that were also included in there. So 3 different vendors in there. They don't require select board sign off. Well, you would just make a motion to accept the contract and I'll sign off on it. I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions that I may or may not be able to answer for those.
The biggest question I have is just one of timing. I did not see or review the supporting docs until right this instant. Is this something, do we need to make decisions on it right now? Can we review it and we need it tonight?
Yeah, because we're on a schedule. I believe June is when we're supposed to have all of our contractor stuff ready to go. We can still apply for an extension on the grant if we need to. But most of these, like I believe the windows can be done like soon. I don't know that they had expected dates for like start dates for the vendors.
There is some dates in there that begin in December of 25.
Okay. Yeah, that's when they originally thought that we could sign off on them. Yeah, so these contracts end March 31st of 2026. This is work that can get done within the
Within this next
grant
project,
allowance.
got the-
There was one of them that went to June.
Timberline or one of the Jackson Island.
Yeah, I think some of them, they extended out a little bit, but I believe June 31st, is June the 31st?
I think there's only 30 days in June.
June 32nd.
Yeah, 30th, sorry. June 30th is when that ends, and if we have any other pressing work, like we still have to do the ADA ramp. If we can't get that going, we can apply for an extension for that, and it sounds like they're pretty amenable.
I think we should definitely apply for an extension for that grant, the ramp component. Seeing as how it's gonna be March before we know it and we're not ready. I do have a couple questions on those contracts. There's a few alternates listed. So it's like, we'll do the, we could do this, like one of them was the stage exterior door off the stage. It was either repair it or replace it. Who decides the selection of the alternates?
I believe we do.
Okay. There was another one that might have been another one in there somewhere about another alternate, but I was just curious about that and how much of this Two Rivers organization is kind of in our hands once these contracts are signed. Like we do all the coordinating with the contractors and everything like that is through like this body.
Yeah, so if we have anything, I believe the intent is that if something can't be done without replacing it, they come to us and let us know. We can make that decision at that time. I think it's just kind of a safety precaution with historic buildings.
So all of the funding for this is through the grant, right? There's
Correct.
no budgetary impact on the town itself.
It's reimbursement, so we will pay up front. And
But ultimately, it's gonna zero out
Yeah.
as long as we,
yeah, as bills come in and we've paid them, excuse me, we send all the information to the state, and they send out the payment. So like we should be getting the basement payment back. That was on Megan and I because we thought we had already submitted the reimbursement.
I would have some concerns with exterior finish work, like staining, painting, glazing, which is the installation of glass with putty and such being done in winter temperatures. And if there's not a reason to restrict them, like you said, March, I think one of them was March. If we don't need to restrict them to that tight of a schedule, I think we should give them a little bit more time so that the weather can warm up a little bit. I don't know.
it seems like it seems like a reasonable concept. I guess what would we have to do then? Would that put us
We have to
outside?
have them rewrite the contract for that. If we
Okay.
wanted to give them a little bit more time, or we can also do an addendum to the contract once we get into it.
We can do that after, so basically
Yeah.
a change order after the contract is in place. So if we get the contracts in place now, we can start prepping and planning and doing parts of it, but potentially extend. I just want to make sure that if we extend, we don't lose the grant. But I recognize that, yeah, timing is, winter's not a great time to do certain parts of this.
Yeah, and I don't think that the vendor had any concerns with doing it during winter time, but, yeah, I mean, typically you just do an addendum to the contract and Two Rivers can help us, draft up a new one that can extend it.
Are those dates from Two Rivers? Are they the ones that came up with those?
Yeah,
Must be warmer down there.
Okay. So just looking through the kind of the scope of work and the items that are going through here, this looks reasonable to me, although I am not a builder.
and they've had a building contractor is the one who chose all of these vendors as well, so they've had somebody vetting it from like a building perspective.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know half of the words that they use in these contracts.
All right, is there any additional points, or would somebody like to make a motion? Do we need separate motions? Probably best to do separate motions, right?
Yeah, you can. I don't see an issue with doing one, but we can do it separately.
Move that we approve the interior storm window, the building envelope, and the window repair contracts for the MERV grants.
I will second.
Ooh, Curtis beat you to it. Any further discussion?
Did you have
Oh,
something?
sorry. Yeah,
Just that, the prices that were quoted for the interior storms were for last year. If we can pay for them for, I think, mid-April this year, we could, the organization window dressers can honor those prices. Otherwise, it's gonna be a few percent up.
Okay.
As an institution, we could probably cover that, but it'd be better for, it's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
We could do it before it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just ordering them.
It's getting the order in and I think paying for it.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, because that would be within that March timeframe anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's only on one of them. There was another in June, and I think maybe April on the other one. I think I'm getting confused though, because they had so many contracts out. End of March.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
You're welcome to hang out if you'd like.
So kind of.
So few people take us up on that.
Tierney,
Yeah.
send you for a call.
Yeah, either one. I'll email back Harry tomorrow and let him know that, I'll have all the contracts signed and he'll get them out to everybody. But yeah, we can coordinate anytime. I'm happy to get you guys in as soon as you want.
We'll also need to look at the library. I hear we'll put trip lines. I need to.
I didn't even know what those are. But yeah, anytime. I'm here Monday through Friday, until 4:30, so.
And, just confirming, sorry,
Mhm.
this is taking your time. We had the inserts for the main hall, inserts for the town clerk office, and then inserts for the library.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about all of those, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Thank you.
All right, see ya.
All right, next item up is the town administrator update. Do we want to touch on Chuck's point first and then jump into the rest of it?
just real quick, who was the guest?
That was,
Pat,
Pat with, Interlac, I believe.
Oh, the contractor, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, do you wanna go, Chuck?
Sure. We have the perennial potential conflict between use of the town hall space with, town times designated for town board meetings. So yoga is happening on Wednesday nights in this room, but every other Wednesday is a potential DRB meeting time. And for the sake of not ending up in Jen's office again, I think that we need to come up with a plan for how to deal with it.
I actually talked to Kate and told her that am I loud?
I didn't know you were in the box.
Oh.
I thought you just weren't here.
If you say your name 3 times.
I can't stay away. I told Kate in advance that in the event of a conflict, the DRB meetings would override the yoga.
Okay.
So she knows in
Okay.
advance.
I was gonna say for this round, if it becomes a conflict, if they are willing to give us priority on the library, so that we're not just booted out of space, but what has happened in the past is yoga in here and the historical society in the library, and then we're a town board that's homeless but required to meet in this building at the warned time. And
Basement's
so
got floor now, you know.
it's pretty scary down there. And when the heat's on up here, the hopper is gonna be pretty disruptive to DRB meetings.
Yeah, but so if we have a DRB meeting, I told Kate, and she knows already. So
Okay.
we're good.
Then we don't need to have this agenda item. Good talk, everybody.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense that, a town function should always take precedence over something else.
Yeah, that was an oversight on my part the last time because I was so busy trying to make sure that you guys had a quorum for one of the Wednesdays that I didn't check to see if town hall was open. So that's my fault.
Is
And
that, do the non-public uses end up on our town calendar?
Yeah.
They do, okay.
yeah, Jen and I have a shared
But I
town
mean,
hall
like the public
schedule.
website.
Yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah. So if there's something, I'll usually put it up on that calendar.
okay. And then you guys have another calendar you're using too?
We
Okay,
have a
so
town
let's
hall
do that.
booking calendar.
Yeah, it's more just to be able to coordinate together, so I don't have to walk over here to
Yeah,
check if something's.
I'm just thinking of like the other calendar that we have for
I
keeping
have
track of like.
no way
holidays,
to
so-
link it from my Outlook.
Well, I'm wondering,
But-
we can talk about it maybe in one of our administrative meetings or whatever, but let's see if there's a way to
Yeah,
reduce the number of disparate places we have to track.
yeah, it'd be nice to have a calendar or a calendar that is linking multiple calendars. Because this kind of thing I was getting into with Kate a little bit too, is like the library has things on their calendar that aren't on our calendar, that we're all using the same building. Like it feels like it's a recipe for this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's, calendar is actually already an administrative topic for me for, again, a later date anyway. It's just that I thought we had a challenge of syncing up like 3, and it might be that we have a challenge syncing up 5 or 6 or an infinite number of calendars, so. All right, we'll tackle that separately. So are we good then on your point for tonight, Chuck?
Yeah, I think so. How do we know how many Wednesdays are scheduled right now for yoga?
There was just an email about it, I think. Or maybe it was on Front Porch Forum, but there was definitely just a posting about yoga, and then it was.
Yeah, I think they typically go into the summer. I can't remember when they ended last time.
I think this round is only going till mid-February.
Okay.
I think they're scheduling it in smaller chunks.
Well, that's easier. Plus with the DRB, we have to have 15 days notice for the public, so that's plenty of time to tell them, hey,
Well,
get
and
out of here and we'll switch you a night.
I think probably the answer moving forward is to block those nights for the planning commission and the select board and the
By default.
DRB and have them spring open as available rather than
Rather
booting
than-
people out.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have a swarm of yoga equipment flying through the air as we talk about
Well,
sheds.
if anybody's gonna be flexible, it should be a yoga class, right? So.
Nice.
Boy, that's a call joke.
I was gonna say, you guys been talking more?
All right, Tierney, did you have other stuff for administrative update?
Yeah, so I've been keeping it updated in Teams where we are for the status of different reports. I'm still hassling one certain department that isn't totally under us to get things to me, and I haven't heard back from them, so I'm missing those ones, but for the most part, besides the Gales report that are dependent upon the budget and everything, we're in pretty good standing. However, I don't have anything for the actual report. I don't know if we were actually looking at doing a completely different template visual wise.
So I think, we had basically decided, although that's a good thing for us to aspire to, we probably need to punt on that for this year,
Okay.
just because of running out of runway. I do still think there are a few reports. Did everybody get a chance to review the reports that are there so far? Like most of them are pretty standard, repeat of things we've done previously. There are a few where, I think, maybe some minor rewording or maybe some help organizing would make them a little bit more understandable or
Where are they?
digestible.
Are they in the
They're-
budget folder?
No, there's a separate folder for the report, because it's reports, not budget. But it's, yeah, I can ping in a link to it while you're doing that. Yeah, let me send you a link to it, Paul. I mean, they're a pretty easy read overall.
Yeah, so for the most part, we've got that, but the biggest things I was looking for was the template, and then I know Carrie had some ideas for the cover. That was the other one, and any kind of other dedications that you guys might want to do.
Yep.
But otherwise, it's in pretty good shape, I would say. I just lost words.
So there are a few things about, I guess, maybe the assembly of it. There's a bunch of grammar and spelling errors and stuff like that. Those are easy enough to clean up. Some formatting stuff I would say still. So for example, on the things on the contact info sheet, it's more a matter of sequencing. Like we've got the big 911 thing listed there, but then the actual police contact number and stuff is just in the middle of a bunch of other things. There's some stuff like that. I think some minor rearranging of rows could probably make it a little bit nicer.
Okay.
I didn't see comments from anybody else in the document, so I wasn't sure if that's because we're good with it or if it's people didn't have a chance to review it yet. And then I'll stop with that question first, and then I'll come back to other things.
I read through it, but I did not start to make any markups on it.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are
I
welcome
have
to
not
make any kind
eyes
of.
on it yet.
Okay. My general thinking on it is I don't think it should be up to us to go in and rewrite people's reports or stuff. I don't think that's in the spirit or the right execution for us to do it. I do think where there are places that things are confusing, it would be great if we can comment on that or just ask clarifying questions or make suggestions, but get that back to the budget owner, or not budget, the report owners. But I also want to be conscious of time because you're still trying to get this out the door by January 15th, was it? Or
15th, I just want to have a final version of everything.
Yeah.
And then we can, because we still need a warning to be able to be put in there. So that's dependent upon budget and the bylaw adoption. So
right.
we have some time to work with it. I just want to build in a little bit of wiggle
Is that going to, I guess what I'm trying to look at the timing of it. Is that going to require us to have a special meeting next week as well to go through stuff? No. So if we get,
we can put it in the normal,
because the next,
it should be the 20th is our next meeting.
okay, so if we could get comments compiled for budget owners this week, report owners.
Mhm.
I'm gonna make that mistake 10 more times. If we can get report comments in by the end of this week, give people next week to answer whatever questions we might have or make whatever tweaks.
Hmm.
If we can get that by the end of next week, that gives the select board the weekend to review stuff, and then for our meeting on the 20th, we can come in ready to basically make any final changes or approve.
Yeah.
And that still fits to get it all printed and.
Yeah, we can do in a regular select board meeting, the review over the warning, and the approval of it, and then we can post everywhere, get it advertised.
Okay.
So we at least have that out, and then getting the town report finalized, we have a little bit of room.
Okay. And again, for things like minor edits to the document, we don't need to do that in an open meeting. That's easy enough separately. Is everybody else good with that? Good with that timeline? If you can get kind of any initial comments into the doc, and I would say that the best way to do it, I have a series of comments, but I noticed that nobody else had done them yet, and I was a little hesitant to go add some when nobody else had. If we're all good with that, I'd say, yeah, go into the documents themselves. Most of them are Word docs. A couple of them, I think, are PDFs, but those are the ones that are like just a cookie cutter insert about like from the health department or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you can, add comments to the Word docs, and we can get that back to the report owners end of this week or early next week, so they can work on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be working on appropriations this week and next week. Just double checking that everybody's done their petitions and has a report to put in there. There is one report that severely needs to be edited for spelling and grammar. So I will,
You're talking about one of the ones that's already posted there? Or one of,
under
I
appropriations.
won't call anybody out in the meeting here, but one of those reports is really hard to
Yeah,
digest.
that's, I also had to edit that one last year too, so.
Okay.
I'll just go through that one. It's really not a big deal for me, so.
Okay. Is everybody good? Thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Just real quick, I am delinquent on posting the highway report. I've got it drafted, and I'm gonna have that in there the next day or two for everybody to look at. And the only thing that's kind of come to my mind is some of the good parts that would be in the highway report are in the select board report. So do we repeat it or just cover it in one spot or the other?
I don't think it's the end of the world to repeat stuff, but we might want to just call it out or point people to the highway report if there's more detail there.
Well, I'm thinking, because I wrote up that thing in the select board report, but I'm wondering, I could get stripped way down while still sending the same message and refer you to the highway report for.
Right, you can hit the highlight,
right,
but redirect. So that gets into the next. So that gets into the next question I had, which is, so first of all, thank you for the reviews and the comments and everything on the first draft that I threw out there. Are you guys comfortable if I take a stab now at working all of that into a next draft, or do you want to? I don't know if anybody else wanted to.
for the select board report.
For the select board report, yeah.
No, seems fine with me.
Good with that. Okay.
Yeah.
I will do that. Probably not until the weekend, but I'll take a cut at cleaning that up with the comments and suggestions and stuff that are in there, including now maybe revising it. Paul, if you get the highway report posted, even if it's just as a draft, or if you want to go into the select board report and tweak any of the parts that maybe double up on what's highway, I can craft, update the wording around the rest of it.
Okay, I'll send a note to once I'll put it in this reports area once I have a file and let everybody know.
And you can steal stuff out of what I already wrote, Paul, if you feel like it, or just whatever.
All right, sounds good. Thanks. Plagiarization reviews.
I saw one of your comments, Paul. We won't know the page numbers of everything until the printer formats everything. So I give everything over to them in PDF or Excel format separately. And then they organize, make sure everything is on one page or goes into 2 pages correctly. So we wouldn't know the page numbers to be able to reference them in the reports.
Yeah, that's
Just
fair.
FYI.
Yeah.
And I guess the only other question I had was kind of about some of the higher level sequencing of what goes in there. I noticed when I was looking through prior years' reports, it's like, oh, sometimes like some of the reports had like the dedication on the inside cover, some it was a separate page. Some of the reports had the auditors, the information about the auditor on the front, I mean, on the inside front cover. Others had that noted again within the text somewhere. I don't think there's anything statutorily that says thou shalt put stuff in this order.
No, the only thing we actually have to have in the town report is the auditor's report.
The note that says that we will have an auditor's report on, so I believe.
Other places
Contracted with
already
them.
have them done, so their town report is just the auditor's report. So all of the stuff is just however you guys wanna present it. Sorry.
Sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
didn't hear either one of you.
So that happens to me.
But can you finish your thought and then?
Yeah, so that's the only thing like statutorily that we need to include in the report, so, like some towns have it, some, you know, it takes them a little bit longer, like us, they won't be done until probably May. But we still have to notify the public that that will be available for them. So everything else is just at your guys' discretion, how you want it organized. I think they do it. I know the index is alphabetical, but everything else is.
So when we're talking about like having our next meeting in 2 weeks,
Mhm.
stuff won't have already gone to the printer. It's not already being assembled at that point. So we still have time, if we need to, either before or during that meeting, to rearrange stuff so that it is an easier read for the.
I can send everything to the printer and they can send us proof back. So you can actually like see what it looks like, because it doesn't really work out telling them how to organize it beforehand. But they organize it.
Well, if we know, I mean, all I'm thinking of is, excuse me, like that spreadsheet that you put together that just says, here, we've got this, we're missing this, whatever. If we literally just took a spreadsheet table like that and just said, oh, well, what if we rearrange the rows so that, you know, this comes before this, these things belong together. Right, I'm just thinking to make sure that like, oh, the health and safety stuff, it would make sense if that's all together. Anything money related would make sense if it's all together.
Yeah, if you
stuff
guys
like that.
would prefer
Yeah,
that.
I think we can, I don't think we need the printer to mock something up for us or do an early layout.
Well, they're gonna do it anyway, because we have to proof it and then make sure it looks right. But yeah, we can send them over a thing that says, here's how we would like it organized, and to do it in sections and see if that works for them.
Well, let me make sure. I mean, when we're talking about like our next meeting in 2 weeks, if we have changes in that meeting, like how does the back and forth with the printer work?
I take all of the documents, put them into PDF or keep them in Excel, send them all over to them, and then they arrange it the way they do.
But when we're talking about like, I guess I was thinking the next regular meeting we have would be where we finalize everything. And then you would do all the PDF stuff and send it to them. But it's kind of sounding like you're saying you'll send it to them beforehand,
I'm not gonna send it to them until I have the warning.
which wouldn't be until the next meeting anyway.
Right.
Okay.
So if you guys wanna go through, make sure we have all the reports.
That's fine. I
That's
want to
fine.
make sure we don't end up in some, I've seen stuff before in totally other contexts with printers where the back and forth of like versions and sequencing and stuff gets really confusing. So the more we can keep that internal to us and get it set and then hand the printer one and only one set of things.
That'll be what it is. They just come back to us because it'll be the way it's gonna look in the report.
I
and then-
realize we'll still want to proof it and say like, hey, you cut the top off this thing or whatever.
Yeah, as long as we have the final versions.
Okay, I just don't want to be dealing with like, hey, can you move subsection 8 to part 3 and.
No, I think we went back with them twice last year just because there were some weird page layout issues that they were able to fix, but
Okay.
yeah, so.
A page layout, yeah, like a page layout in the same place is fine. I
the
just don't want to
content
deal with something, because was it last year or the year before that like one of the petition appropriations like didn't get printed or got printed twice, or I forget if there was like Orange County Restorative Justice didn't go in, or the parent one didn't go in or something. That's the type of stuff that I want to make sure we minimize the likelihood of an oversight. And I know the more times you ask a printer to shuffle things, the more likely something gets duped.
Yeah, I want us to have a final version, hopefully just have one proof that we can go through and give them any edits.
The only other thing then, I don't know if you guys read or looked at the stuff that Carrie sent about I'm assuming it was the potential cover picture for the pedestrian bridge and the dedication and stuff.
We talked about that.
It looked fine to me. I think we can,
Where was that
Almost-
gonna live potentially?
oh, sorry, say that again, Paul?
Where would that live?
I was assuming the picture or one of the pictures would be outside cover and maybe another picture would be inside cover with the dedication. But if you've got other ideas or preferences,
Yeah,
we can talk about.
I didn't realize that it was gonna be a front cover thing.
I think it
Doesn't have to be. We haven't decided that yet. I didn't mean to, if that sounded like a
Okay,
decision. It was meant as just what the prior discussion was. Sorry,
Got
it's your anything.
Yeah, I think that was just what she was wanting to use for the bridge. Jen, have you been able to talk to the Historic Society yet? Historical, 'Cause I think-
Yeah, I talked to them. They said I could go over and look through their archives. So if there's anything that specifically that you're thinking, as opposed to just looking aimlessly through 1,000 photos, I could
I
do
don't know,
that.
anything downtown, I think would be great if we could look for like historical old photos to use for the cover. Just because, did I say it was 235 years? So that's a pretty big number. And that's easier than, I don't know, me and Jen fighting over whose picture gets to go on the cover or something.
So I mean, we all had the homework assignment from the last meeting to think of if there were any other contenders for what the type of cover might be, or if there was another contender for dedication or anything. We're not required to have a dedication. 2021 maybe we didn't, I don't think. And last year we mentioned Karen, but then we also talked about Hutch
Yeah.
last year. So
did you say Hutch?
I don't see anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't Bob Hutchinson? Wasn't his nickname? Hutch?
Oh, right, sorry.
Yeah.
My thoughts were going around, like, several elders in the community have passed away in the last several years. And I didn't know if there was a way to do like a group dedication sort of, or a nod somehow to these elders that have probably been in Chelsea their entire lives and seen a thing or two that are just no longer with us. And that's where my head went when I was thinking about dedication.
My only hesitation with that, I know Jen has the vital statistics of folks who have passed away in the state. My only hesitation is if we miss somebody, we don't want to offend any of the residents and make them think that their loved ones weren't appreciated, but it was a pretty significant amount of people this last year. And I just don't want to miss anybody.
Yeah, the births was like what, 4 or 5 or
Yeah.
something, and then the deaths was
A lot more.
more than that.
Yeah.
And then some additional people brought to Chelsea for burial.
So we could use like the vital statistics to be able to list them out and have a dedication area, like on the inner cover or the first page or whatever you want to do.
I'd be a little bit concerned just not knowing a lot of the details. And again, like some of the people who were, particularly the ones who were brought here for burial, like I don't know if that's because they have roots, connections to Chelsea somehow. I'm not sure I like your idea, Paul. I'm not sure the best way to execute on it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, because then there's, folks that may have been living here for 50 years, but they got buried somewhere else. out of state or something, if they go back to their home state. Yeah, that's my only hesitation.
Okay. Well, let's maybe keep this discussion going then offline. Again, I don't believe we need to do it in open meeting. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been appropriate for executive session. I'm not sure.
That's okay. Jen and
but,
I can check with the Historical Society and work on cover stuff, just to find something that's
Yeah, if you can,
historical in nature.
again, just thinking of how to make the next meeting the most efficient possible. Anything that you could get in place by the end of next week in terms of suggestions or things like that will make it easier for us to just point at something in the next meeting, you know, and go through it as opposed to the last thing I want to do is end up right up against the deadline and we're hemming and hawing about ideas for stuff. We're gonna need to pick something.
Yeah, because the next one, if we're doing the warning, we need to have everything finalized for budget. So yeah, we can bump that and talk about it at the next meeting.
Yeah.
If you guys want to get to the budget.
Yep.
Actually, you should probably do auditor first and
I
then
was
budget.
going to suggest the same thing. Yeah. Did you have anything else for administrator update?
Not that I can think of.
The not a full update, just a heads up. Kate Willard invited me to go for a short walk with her up on a couple of roads on West Hill and look at some of the Emerald Ash borer damage that she's been talking about. So we'll bring that up again as a full topic later on, but just wanted to let you guys know I went up and kind of saw why she's concerned. So we'll carry on with that at a later meeting. All right, sorry, just bouncing around. So the auditor RFP, so we had left this last time. We had, excuse me, we had opened the docs, we had taken a look at them. We'd asked Gail to take a little bit closer look at them because you actually know what you're reading. Did you have a recommendation or any other insight that we should know about?
Yeah, I mean, Sullivan Powers, you know, they'll come to the office and do some of the work. And they'll also do it on a cash basis, audit, modified approach. And, I mean, I put a lot of hours, copy scan, stable. And if Sullivan Powers is willing to come in and do some of the work in the office, and have everything set up for them so they can easily access everything.
Yeah, Batch Elder did it last year and I remember Gail having to scan a lot just because they didn't come to the office. We had to scan everything over to them. So it took a pretty significant amount of time until they were done with the audit for Gail to send everything over to them.
That's interesting. So a standard part of the audit doesn't include actually looking at what you do with paper?
It does, but I have to hold on, scanning. They do a testing, pull certain invoices and.
Yeah.
So
I just
have to go through and highlight everything and then, undo it all and refile it. It's just very time consuming. And if they're willing to come out and do most of that, it'd be.
Yeah, at the risk of making it sound suspicious, which is not my intent, it just seems like if somebody is doing something shady and then they're the ones sending documents to the auditor, it seems like there's a control problem. I guess you might have that even physically if you just decide which drawers of the filing cabinet to open. But I guess I'm just saying out loud what I'm thinking, which is, I always assumed from what I've seen in my business life that auditors go camp out at your office and suspect you of everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, Chad's thing, they interview and they talk to staff and it just sounds more, involved.
For what it's
Okay.
worth, we used to do every year at Death got it, and then we would get randomly selected for the trust accounts. Each of our carriers would do a desk audit every year, and then either the bar or the carriers would randomly come in and do like a full week-long open all the cabinets audit.
Yeah.
And the desk audits were, they would give us a list of give me these file numbers, give me every piece of financial documentation. And it either lines up or it doesn't.
As long as he doesn't go through my snack drawer, I'm great.
Snack doors are open for audits.
It's locked.
I decree it. Second.
Random samples. Okay, so you're, so you would recommend that we go with the vendor that will do that part of the work as well? Okay. Are there any other differences or anything that we should be aware of, or anything else that would lean one way or the other?
It's slightly more expensive.
It's,
Yeah, but not where it was a couple of years ago. We got it close for a couple of years ago, it was a lot more.
I was gonna say, it's like a less than 10% difference, I think, right?
Yeah, $17.50.
Yeah, on a $20,000-ish expense.
Yeah.
Is there? So in terms of the final product, like I'm thinking, you know, what does it mean? You know, so you've talked about what that means for you in terms of the level of effort and work and stuff that to do. Is there any difference in what the town actually gets out of it at the end? In terms of, is there any difference in the quality of the audit itself or the scope of the audit or anything like that? Is it the same? I guess what I'm asking is it the same?
Yeah, we're doing the same type of thing. But like I said, they're doing it cash, so it will match our trial balance.
Oh,
As opposed to modified accrual,
which then causes confusion internally as well. Okay. So that's interesting. I thought, I again, a bad assumption in my head. I had thought the modified accrual was a requirement to do it that way. You're just saying, no, that's just the way.
Well, that's what the one auditor said, and the other one says that you don't have to, if you're on a cash basis, you can do a cash
Okay,
audit.
okay. That certainly makes it more digestible for everyone else to true up the numbers against what we report on, what's in the annual report, what we review as the select board, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then their findings, they'll probably email to the select board or whatever.
Right, but then that also, but their annual also gets published.
Yeah.
Right, so we.
Yeah, it's in the audit.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Did anybody else have? I kind of dominated the questions there. Didn't.
Feels like with no other input from Gail, to me, it's but I think your opinion is important.
I got a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Do we? Oh no, there it is. Never mind. A report from. Do we audit every year? And does that audit report go in the book?
No, because it's not done by the time we make the book.
Well, should the previous, whatever one is done, should that go in? Even if it's caveated that it's the year before?
It's on the website.
Yeah, it's like, what was that one, 30 pages or so?
Yeah.
So we make it available for everybody to do, but it's a pretty large document.
Is there a the reason that it doesn't get done is that just because, like you said, somebody said other towns are able to get it
Yeah,
done?
they're on a fiscal.
It's because other towns don't end December 31st.
Yeah, they're fiscal or they have auditors that are employed by the town.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're certainly not the only town that
No.
doesn't get this in there. Okay.
Yeah, the 2024 audit was 48 pages. would be a
So I would
pretty
see,
significant book to be sent out.
well, I would actually be, I mean, I'm sure it increases printing costs and stuff. I'm less concerned about that. I'm more concerned about the idea that now, like, we were talking about confusion just between the fact that everything we budget for is cash and Batchelor was doing modified accrual. Now imagine one is for last year and one is for this year. Like, I see that as causing a lot more confusion. If there's anything in there that says, wait a minute, the auditor says, you know, $1 million and your budget says $1.1 million. And whereas I see that as being way more confusing to co-publish two separate timeframes in the same document. Okay.
So the report that's listed in the reports folder, auditor report availability 2025, that looks like it's just and which is probably fine. It's just a nod to that it did happen. Just reading it again here. Should we put, oh, never mind, there it is. That's updated this year already, Tierney. Do we want to put on there that we're gonna be doing one for 2025 as well?
Yeah, so that's what the highlights are for. I haven't finished the doc yet.
Oh,
Um,
okay, gotcha.
so yeah, anything
Oh.
that's highlighted is waiting for me to update it.
Okay, and then
So once
after tonight, hopefully we have a
choose
name.
somebody- Yeah, once we choose somebody, and then I'll also get an estimate on when they should have the report done to include, auditor's report will be available by the end of April or something.
Perfect, okay.
I don't remember if it was in there or not. I do think, again, given the environment of what's happening in towns and organizations around us, it might be good to make sure that there's a little bit of opening context that reminds people that we constantly do, like every year we do audits to make sure the books are in order and that there's no missing money, and just reassure people that.
That's what the
This is-
auditor's report says on
Does
it.
it? Okay,
We
I
have it every
couldn't
year.
remember, I couldn't remember if that was in
Yeah.
there or not. So,
Yeah, it just says we've completed it this year, this year, this year.
Good.
Just letting people know we've consistently been auditing every
Yeah.
year.
Good.
So then there's no,
Yep.
suspicious, because we're not required to do them every year, but it's good practice too.
I'm just, again, thinking, I'm sure there will be people who are concerned about that.
Mhm.
More this year than in prior years. Okay. All right, any additional context or anything before, or would anybody like to just jump into a motion on, accepting one or the other of the auditor responses?
I'll make a motion to accept Sullivan Powers' proposal for auditing services.
I'll second.
All right, any additional discussion?
We don't have to read anything out loud before we approve it or anything?
We should mention the dollar amount that goes with it, actually.
Yeah,
So that's for the Sullivan Powers one is for $22,000 for the 2025 audit. But we should amend the motion to state that.
I will amend the motion. What's the number? 21,500?
22,000. No, just
22,000.
22,000. Sorry, I'm like half listening. To accept Sullivan Powers' proposal for auditing services for $22,000.
Seconded.
All right, any additional discussion?
There is a hand up,
yes.
or there was, maybe it's down now.
Okay.
I think Mary Ann had her hand up and then maybe
Sorry,
she
sorry.
took it back down.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to figure out how to unmute it. That took me a second. So, the $22,000, is it for 1 year, the 2025 audit only?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. That's expensive. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Sorry, any additional discussion? All in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, everyone. Do we have any other light housekeeping before we get into budget?
If you want to go through the
Oh, the
Avery
Avery.
and approved orders, we can just knock those out.
Yep, so what Tierney, do you want to refresh us on the Avery work contract?
Yeah, so we've got, it was from Avery Excavation Incorporated. They did some sand hauling for the, highway department back in November. So the total invoice was for $5,500 because it's over that 5,000 threshold. We need a contract on file. So this is something that's already occurred, and just because it took a little while to get their information and their, a copy of their insurance into the contract, we finally have it done, so.
I thought we had already approved that, or was that?
It was a different one. We had one for salt recently and one for actual excavation.
Okay,
Yeah, these are always on so many pages, how you have to sign them.
Do we have to wait for this moment right now before they're paid? Or do we pay them already?
Did you already pay Avery?
Yes.
Yeah, they've already been paid for their work. This is just the actual contract on file. Our purchasing policy requires us to have anything over $5,000 have a contract. So it's not hindering. They haven't been waiting since November to get paid.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay,
What happens if we say, I don't like this?
right.
yeah, do we end up in a process?
Not that I feel that way, but just in case this comes up for something that I do feel that way.
Oh, that's a talk to Rick, but usually the work is done before we get a contract, because it's usually, I don't know if this was urgent. I mean, sometimes some of the work is urgent and doesn't really have time to wait 2 weeks to get a contract signed. Then some of it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So-
his purchasing authority makes it able for him to approve those kinds of purchases. And notify the select board that that has been already done, but it's just a weird kind of catch.
So maybe we can tee this up, if we're gonna have an extended highway focused meeting, at some point, maybe we can tree this up, because I would imagine Rick is way more likely to run into this than any of the rest of us, just because of the nature of what he works on and the magnitude of the expenses that he hits.
Mhm.
We certainly don't want to do something where suddenly the town roads are terrible for 2 weeks because we don't have a meeting, or we can't pull a quorum together to have a special meeting or whatever. So I think when you want to revisit it for tonight's purposes, I guess retroactively treating it up is fine, but I do, you know, if this is something where we need to revisit the policy to make sure that we can handle it.
Yeah, I think what has been described makes perfect sense. When Rick needs to do something for the highway department, he needs to do it for the highway department. It just feels weird that he has the authority to do that, but then we have to sign something after the fact.
Yeah, it definitely feels out of sequence.
I feel like I don't need to sign it. Like, have just Rick sign that as part of his
Could we
budget.
delegate, yeah, is it possible to delegate that? That's what I'm wondering, if the purchasing policy is too stringent for what the reality of the work needs to
Yeah.
be. I mean, in theory, you could, like, if we said, oh, make it 6,000, then there could be a $6,001.
Right,
Right, so I don't know what the rate-
maybe the numbers needs to be adjusted of what triggers.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those things like changing the request to administrative approval it would be pretty easy. That's one of many policies that need to be looked at and reviewed and changed. But I'd be
But
happy
there's
to
no-
do stuff like that. That's a pretty.
and it's not like we're overrunning the budget with it, right? These are for things that,
Yeah, this is
And
for
then-
typical
and
work.
sometimes we'll have something that was done, but because they're not appropriated, I have to have it for the
Hold harmless?
payroll one.
Oh,
And I have to have signed contracts if you have somebody that is not employed, somebody that's gonna get a 1099. Anybody that's in 1099, I have to have a contract. Sometimes we haven't done a contract, we didn't realize ever, you know, that we were gonna need it, that it was gonna be over $600. Like last year, he had somebody do
Oh,
something.
that's right, because
Well, you didn't think it was gonna be over 600, or like 620. Where was? And I asked the guy to take off $38, so we wouldn't have to do a contract, but.
okay. Because there are ripple through effects on that stuff, and right? Like other paperwork that you need or other, I want to make sure too that we're not inadvertently putting the town at risk for anything, like if somebody's hauling sand and has an accident or whatever,
Yeah, I
if we don't
mean,
have a contract, does that put some liability question in place?
as long as they have their own insurance, but we probably should right off the bat have them sign the liability form that's in that packet. Nothing.
Okay. So I know our meeting with Rick is getting longer and longer as we bump into stuff, but I do think it's worth it for us to tee these things up. And maybe, again, once we're through budget and we're through report, maybe it's worthwhile taking a look around to see if there's anything else that should be part of a highway discussion.
Yeah,
And I don't wanna make it, I also don't wanna frame it like. I don't think Rick's done anything wrong. It just feels super weird to me to be signing a contract for work that's already been done and paid for. Now I'm signing a contract.
Right, Rick is trying to keep the highways
Right.
working.
and I have given them copies of contracts that you can give to them, have had them fill out.
Not to add another layer of complication to this, but there's supposed to be a 2-vendor blind bidding process for this also. And actually, the auditor specifically doesn't have to go through a bidding process.
yeah, we talked about that. That was already out.
It's good to have more than one number though.
Yeah, definitely. I, for the sake of, when we come back to this conversation, perhaps it would be helpful for everybody to read the purchasing policy and contemplate whether it
Yeah, since it's a
actually
specialized
is
service. we
effective
didn't
for
have to.
us accomplishing things.
Yeah,
And
right,
the other thing with that is you run into a problem like if he has a truck that breaks down, you
Yeah.
can't bring it to 2 different garages and get a price.
Yeah,
Well, actually, we tried to do that and just delayed
If you're
it.
gonna have to
we
get
had to
towed, you're
put it
gonna
back
pay
together
Yeah.
to take it to the other garage.
$1,000 to.
right,
Take it back to
the intent is supposed to be. Right, the intent is supposed to be careful with town money, which is the right intent. There's a practicality to, like, how do you do that for things, in an emergency, when it's an unexpected overage. Right, it's within budget, so right there's a bunch of stuff. I don't want to say we should live with the gray space. I would love to clarify the gray space and make sure that we're meeting the intent. And Chuck, it sounds like you might already have some ideas on what poke at that.
Yeah, I think that this purchasing policy could be made more clear to allow space for, it classifies things as incidental purchases. I think that there is probably space for a 4th classification that is a $250,000 truck almost always costs more than $5,000 to fix in an emergency, and we need it to work tomorrow, not
Yeah.
5 weeks from now, if it can work tomorrow. So it was not intended as a criticism of the process that has happened. Seems complete except for our signatures. But goes on the list of.
Right.
We should probably clean that up so that Rick and the board are not subject to undue scrutiny or challenges for not following. Let's see.
Yep, I would agree with every aspect of that. Yeah. Make sure we don't get in the way of getting the work done, but do the work in a way that aligns with what our policy is. Easier to change the policy than delay the work. Okay. All right, with that in mind, so we just need a motion then to sign off on this, right? So it's 5,500, did you say? Yeah. For Avery. So is there a motion?
I'll move to move the contract, Avery contract for sand hauling for $5,500.
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? That passes. And so you just need,
Picture front and back.
for you guys, that is back and back. All right, and then the standard approving orders item, we might as well tackle that before we get into the extended budget discussion.
Well, so the only item on the approving orders is one of the items is for the sewer remediation, I don't know, work to block line. And so we kind of punted on, do we even know whether this is supposed to be something we're paying for or not? The ordinance doesn't spell it out in black and white. That's one thing on this one page, so I held off on signing since we haven't talked about it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, we can jump into it. Have any opinions?
My opinion, just gut reaction is, this didn't end up being very expensive, and the ordinance is not clear in delineating whose responsibility it is. So I feel that it'd be kind of unfair to just say, no, you're on your own, but I think it really incentivizes us to, wherever we want to delineate that line in redoing the ordinance, we need to get on that, because we've now had two things come up in the last 6 months.
We've had three things come up, yeah.
So
I agree. The pattern I think we should follow is, because it's gray space and it's minimal, I would tend to agree with you. But I do think, once we get a few of these other big rocks off our plate, we know that's one of the ordinances that needs attention, and we weren't able to put a bow on it last year, so.
Maybe we should set a date for a order.
Well, so what I would like to do, and not for tonight, because we have to get through budget, but once we're through this, I'd actually like to set out a schedule for the year that says, or at least for a few quarters ahead, that says, these are the big topics we're gonna run with, this is who owns it, similar to what we're doing with the equipment for highway, similar to what we did with the water rate increase. Try to set out the sort of milestones that say, hey, we're gonna get ideas out on the table by this date, we're gonna iterate on it over the next few meetings, we're gonna make a decision by this date. I would love to do that for some of the other things that we know are active pain points for us. So that's way more than just the water ordinance, but that's one of probably 5 or 6 things, I think, maybe 7 if we add the purchasing policy in the mix. So with that in mind, though, get back to the orders. Is there anything else does anybody else want to jump in, or Paul, do you have any thoughts on it?
No, I'm with you though. As far as the orders, do you need me to abstain since I'm not there?
No, you can
No.
still make a motion.
Yeah, you're still part of it because it's all available electronically, and it doesn't require your signature on anything, I don't think, because we've already got.
No. Yeah, I just need the 3.
We've got the 3, so.
I'll move to approve orders.
Second?
He was giving you a
We're
chance.
gonna give you space, Paul.
I was trying to give him space to make the motion and I.
We have
Oh,
a
so,
motion.
no, sorry.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Did you turn off the camera?
Has it been off?
Yeah, it is.
Nope. I've been watching Chuck really closely the whole time. There we
you're-
go.
I
I
don't-
can see this.
All right,
It's okay if you turn it off if you need the bandwidth. I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it clicked off itself, so don't worry about it.
so that brings us to budget review. We've only got one topic left. This is gonna be so fast. All right.
Last words.
So budget review, Gail provided some additional updates and a couple of corrections on some stuff. I put that in earlier today. We still have a couple dozen items that are flagged, which would be good for us to run through and make sure that we see it all clearly. I will share my screen so we can run through everything here. Give me a minute, I'm gonna make stuff a little bit bigger here.
Not seen it yet. There it goes. Okay.
Give him,
There
yeah,
we
Paul.
Oh, sorry.
He's bringing it up.
Just took a minute. All right, so you guys can all see this now, right?
Yep.
Okay, so, I don't know if anybody has any specific items they want to dive into, or if you want to just look through the flagged items. The biggest questions I still have, I guess, are around, like, last year, for 2025, we had prior year surpluses, like there were a couple of surplus items that we
I don't think,
okay, so we're not gonna end up with that this year.
I don't think so. Chad must be busy because he hasn't got back to me, but, I'll see if I can. And, I'll send him this budget once we get it done, see what he thinks.
Okay. So the interesting effect of that is if we look at 2025 budget, the property tax, the amount raised by property taxes was budgeted at almost 400,000. When we look at the total expenses that we're looking at for the general fund, we're actually looking at a slightly lower expenditure, but because we don't have surplus money to feed into that, it means that the amount raised by property taxes will have to be $130,000, $140,000 more. So even though our expenses are going down, the property tax impact is actually going up. I stubbed in a quick look at what that would mean from a standpoint of the grand list value as I currently understand it and what that means for the rate increases and so on. So we'd be looking at like a 30% increase in the town operating rate for 2026, even though the expenses are actually going down. The absolute value of expenses is going down.
It was 28% for 2025.
I don't have that in here. But it was, so 2024, the town operating rate was this number, 0.2379. In 2025, it went up to this. Now we're looking at a jump to this.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so this 31% is just looking at
Difference
from
there.
0.28 to 0.37, yeah. On the highway side of things, by the way, there is a slight increase in expenses, and a slight increase then in the rate. But pretty close to level on highway. But the general, again, the general, general fund, we'd be looking at quite a bit more, even though 2025 budget and 2026. Actually, even if you look at the 2025 year to date, is much higher.
Can you help me understand the surplus difference and like that seems to me like something that's gonna be tough to explain.
It's so tough to explain. I'm gonna ask Gail to explain it.
I mean, the surplus was, some of it was some ARPA money that we had allocated for projects, and then some of it was just, the money that, we just, cause we have like 300,000 of the ARPA money, so we took out 100,000, but towards surplus.
So it's really only appearance wise, it looks like we have
Yeah.
a surplus that affects it.
I mean, you can't just drain all your surplus down to nothing. You have to have something there.
So what would be the comparable from last year to this year? Like, well, this was in surplus last year, it was helping keep costs down, that is used up, and now it's this. Or is it that simple?
I don't know, Chad's one that made the decision for the 100,000. Yes. I'm gonna send him the budget and maybe he can be a little bit more clear on it. He can actually come to the next meeting, maybe.
So I'm just highlighting the two items. Yeah, I mean, if we don't have clarity on this, I mean, we can still go through the rest of the line items and make sure that everything is good. But this is, I mean, these two line items are why we would see an increase in property tax, even though our expenses are going down.
It just stinks that taxes go up.
That's taxes for you.
Okay. So what does that do to us though, in terms of the timeline for getting, again, we can go through all the other items and make sure that everything is at least clear. If we don't have clarity on these two items though, there may be some things that we would still look to potentially cut or adjust for next year.
But how much would we have to cut? $162,000 worth to make it the equivalent rate?
It wouldn't be quite.
Minus whatever we
It
are.
wouldn't,
less
yeah, it
than
wouldn't be
last
quite
year.
that much.
But it would be a lot. Like, it seems kind of based on what we've done.
Yeah,
so
it
far.
would be like $100,000 that we would.
I mean, I don't know how we would remove $100,000 from.
Yeah.
I can get rid of like 1,500 on one of my line items. Would that?
Exactly, that's.
I think we
know 10 others.
No, I don't think the intent would necessarily be to say, hey, we should aim for last year's rate. But it might be a reason for us to look at stuff and say, well, do we really need to increase this? Do we really need to put that? The other challenge that we've got is, well, how is this going to fishtail, year to year? Like, are we going to see, right? Because that's the thing that makes it hard as a property owner is if one year it's way high and then one year it's way low and the next year it's way high again, right? The predictability or lack of predictability is a tough thing. Regardless of rate, it's just emphasized when the rates are high.
Judging by the rates from, I don't know if it was the bottom of this table or the other tab, but it appears that there's a pretty substantial fishtail that is happening.
Yeah, if you look at prior years, they're not too bad here, but way down in 2024. up again quite a bit.
Well, that's,
You know, we're actually
Yeah, I was
not
gonna
all
say,
that far away from where we were in
That-
twenty
that
twenty-one.
makes it look like we're right on pace, and there were 2 years that were
That were
anomalies.
anomalies being low, yeah.
34, 33, 35, 37.
I wonder, I mean, those anomalies though, it isn't, it's worth knowing why.
Was it just those surplus funds? Or
There were
From
about
ARPA?
24.
So I don't want us to get too hung up on this, but it is a big, I mean, that's a big
And that's all
dollar
anyone's gonna
amount.
care
That surplus thing is a huge dollar amount. Or sorry, 2 huge dollar amounts, right?
Yeah, I don't think the word's not gonna be cut for us, I think, but trimming is certainly something I think we wanna consider.
Well, we need to do that anyway to get to the bottom line of what the general and highway fund is gonna be, because reports are dependent upon that, the warning, everything is dependent upon it, so.
Yeah, cause in 24, we had 53,000 surplus, which was also ARPA money that we spent on something that was in the expense line.
It's a little inflated. Is that? Well, when you send everything over to Chad, will you ask if that's something that will impact it? Although if we keep dipping into surplus funds and putting them in there, we're gonna run out of those funds eventually.
Who
And
is
it's
Chad?
gonna anyway.
What?
We
Who's
use him
Chad?
for financial,
He works for Sullivan Towers.
Oh, is he like our accountant or something?
Yeah. It's, does journal entries at the end of the year for me.
And he's a Chelsea High School grad.
Invested in Chelsea. He likes to see us keep our budget down.
So I'd suggest maybe we go through all the other flagged items and then come back to this, and if we need
Yeah.
information from Chad, you can share information with us separately if Chad explains what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
So
did
we-
send them the original budget that we had, and then once we get this updated, I'll send it to him tonight, actually, and, hopefully he can get back to me.
Okay, so, but then what we're gonna need to do in the next meeting is start by approving the budget to make sure we know what these numbers are. Make sure that's part of the warning, because the amount to be raised by taxes is part of the wording on the warning. And then that will fold into what ends up being in the report.
And I could work on, once we figure out what, I can just put it in there and then get the tax amounts. Then you guys can at least look at it and say, well,
I wanna know how the town got 28 acres more land this year.
I was wondering that too. Now I might be misinterpreting. I got a report from the listers, and it is one of the hardest reports I've ever tried to interpret. So I might be misinterpreting part of that as well. But I believe that fewer parcels.
I can sort of explain the parcels away, if somebody combined parcels, but I don't know how you're generating land.
We filled in the wetlands.
It's not protected anymore. It's the frost heaves during the winter. You get more surface area. Yeah. Yeah, I flashed on that as well. I don't know the answer to that yet. Again, for the purposes of this, I was just trying to get a ballpark of what that's gonna mean. There's nothing in the annual report or anything that says what those rates are. In fact, Gail, you can't even compute that until, oh no, you can compute our part of this. You need, like, before you send the actual tax bills out, you need to get the school information.
Yeah.
Other stuff too, right?
More land, how they add those acres up in there.
All right, so if we look back at the rest of the items that we're looking at, so again, we'll fill that in. For 2025, do you know when that, not correction, but adjustment comes in for the school taxes?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that this week. There was a little discrepancy we had, so Chad's just checking into it.
Okay,
So
does that end up Does that still end up getting associated with 2025 though? Like, we're not gonna print an annual report that shows that we collected 2.4 million
No,
in taxes, right?
no, normally I have that out of there by now. But like I said, there was a little discrepancy with the grand list, so I'm trying to figure that out.
I wonder if that's the extra
28.
30 acres. Right?
So I didn't want to move the money out of there until I knew it, because it'll be less than it should.
I know that doesn't impact 2026 budget, but it would be, again, great to not have, I mean,
Yeah.
anybody's gonna flash on a 2 point something million dollar.
No, that'll be correct.
Okay. So the other items that were in here, we had kind of flagged a bunch of stuff here. Obviously, the current property tax, like we're talking about, that'll be the last thing that we determine. The delinquent property taxes and interest and penalties are these just fair enough as estimates, or?
Yeah, you know, in the past, when I've had that delinquent property tax in there, it's been suggested not to put any in there, just the penalty and the interest, and I'm not really quite sure why, but.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well,
Yeah,
because the thing is, we still budget for the expense associated with the delinquent
Yeah.
tax collection, which is a portion of what's collected.
yeah, I mean, as long as it's zeroed out on the other end, it'll be fine. I mean, it's probably gonna be more than that anyway, but.
All right, so let me actually, whoops. Knock these things off as we go. I can't get to it. There we go. All right, so. So we're good unflagging these, right?
Yeah.
Remind me what DTC expenses are?
DTC is delinquent tax collector.
Okay, got it.
The next item actually was right aligned with that is the school tax billing fee. Is that still gonna be 4,000?
Yeah, it's usually about.
Let's see, solid waste tickets. So this was one that we were still kicking around. Let me flip back to the spreadsheet here and go look at solid waste. So the solid waste revenues we were looking at and trying to, you know what, let me actually go to this one. Sorry for making you seasick. Solid waste. All right, so this one, there's that underlying question of, you know, do we try to make this balance or not? What we've currently got in there is still a little bit shy, but we've talked a bunch about whether we can, practically speaking, break even this year or not. The past several years have obviously not been breaking even. I should
And
change that.
those numbers you're showing there, Greg, 2025 budget was budgeted with an $8,300 deficiency, right?
It was, so 2024, it was basically budgeted to try to cut in half roughly.
Right.
The 2024 deficit. And you can see what a good job we've done cutting that in half.
It's admirable that we decided we were gonna cut the deficit in half with no changes either. I mean.
No, there were changes at the beginning of 2024. You know what,
I don't think anything's changed in 2 years, because there's 20. Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to remember. I
Yeah,
was thinking, didn't the price, maybe it didn't go up. I was trying to remember if the price on the recycling.
I don't think it did, that's why.
It was $40 the first 2 years.
Was it? That's what I was trying to remember. I was thinking, did it go from 20 to 40, but I might be thinking of some of the initial discussions.
I guess my point of saying that out loud again was, I don't think this was shown in the report that we budgeted for a deficiency or a upside down,
Well,
did we?
It would have been hard to see because in the report, the revenues are, 6 pages away
Right.
from the expenses.
Yeah, so it would be tough
It was
to,
covered in the informational meeting that very few people went to, I believe, but,
okay. I think I'm still in the same spot where we were. We took a shot at making an improvement, but we also know that there's some boots on the ground stuff we're gonna look at. And throughout 2026, maybe we can continue to make this better.
yeah, so I think that becomes the question of the night is, what do we aim at for 2026? Do we aim for break even, which seems unlikely given the direction it's going in unless we make severe changes? Do we aim for something that, cuts it back to at least having, 2024 or below, differences? One of the other things, and again, I was trying to sort of think through this philosophically a little bit to say, well, how do we cover this for all of the different town services, right? Because if, even if you never use the town clerk for anything, right, you're not licensing a dog, recording a birth, recording a death, doing any of that stuff, right, searching records, you're still part of paying for the availability of having a town clerk, right? Even if you don't drive on the back roads, they're available to you. They're part of what anybody can access in the public. You're paying taxes to help maintain that. Even if you never step foot in the library, it's a public library. You're welcome to use its resources. That's part of the appropriation that the town money goes to. And so for me, I was trying to think through this in terms of, well, you could say having a transfer station is part of having a service available to the town. And we could say that taxpayer money should cover the basics of having that service. But there are parts of that service that are definitely measurable, like the amount of trash that you're throwing away. And so does it make sense for us to look at parts of this and say, having, maintaining the facility and the grounds, the payroll, other parts of, basically, these parts, the equipment, the grounds, the payroll, would we say, well, this is stuff that we could say these amounts are fair for the whole town to cover, even if you take your trash to South Wales,ton or even if you, or Tunbridge, or even if you have a private company pick it up. Part of the deal with being in town is this is available to you.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
the clerk's office is an analogy. Everybody can use it, but 2 recorded document costs $15. To get a
Exactly.
copy costs $1.
Exactly. So we could
The building
say,
and the payroll is covered.
right, so we could say, hey, everybody in town is gonna share the $36,000 of cost associated with just having a transfer station. Then if you're using the transfer station to throw away your construction materials and getting rid of your solid waste and blah, 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 is this the number that we should be trying to balance? In other words, that 77,000, is that the number that we should be trying to recoup in bag fees and recycle stickers and things like that, as opposed to trying to make bag fees and recycle stickers cover the full amount of the expense?
I know it's just a small amount, but you could lower waste storm down to like 800 or 900.
In terms of what that cost, because that was the budget. So we can come back to the individual numbers, I guess, but before we do that, again, that's a thought. I wanted to get that out on the table and get the other board members' perspectives on what should we be aiming at as a balance? What does balance mean?
I feel like covering the revenues should at a minimum, in my view, cover the cost to actually dispose of the waste.
So at least 77,000.
Yeah, that
Can you guys see that okay? Or should I make it go?
Yeah, I agree. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
I totally agree too. Like that, to ask somebody to cover their own cost, and we budgeted that for like almost like a zero, because we're asking people to pay for what they dispose of, I think is completely fair. And then the rest is part of almost like a service provided, like you've analogied for us with other town services.
I think where that analogy gets weird is water and sewer.
So water and sewer, not everybody has access to water and sewer.
But the people who have access don't have another option. We are mandated by town ordinance to use it.
Yeah. And there is an aspect, so there's an aspect of that says what's the availability and or opt-out ability.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's another aspect of it, which is the actual usage, right? Whether you use 1 gallon or up to, I forget.
Not everybody flushes toilets, but everybody gets a clean creek.
Yeah.
And gets, has, the valley is not full of human waste. I understand the analogy to the clerk's office perfectly, and the things that are available to everybody, whether you use them or not, we should keep them open. We pay for the town hall, everybody can come in the town hall. But if we continue that analogy, then all the contract cost of the sewer treatment plant is the same infrastructure cost that we're talking about for the transfer station, and that is a disconnect in the way that we are approaching the two different buckets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I simultaneously don't disagree and don't know what to do.
Yeah.
With that thought.
Yeah.
You could always put something on the warning, the things.
Well,
Because
so I always,
pay for.
Yeah,
Water,
yeah.
sewer.
so I think, again, my intent here is not to say, oh, tonight we need to set a balancing policy that shall live throughout the ages. I was trying to look at it in the practical, immediate, pragmatic sense that, hey, we need to pick something as a target to try to balance.
If we're picking a target, my suggestion is that we aim for zeroing it out, and if we cover the costs of disposing of the waste with the money collected, that is, I would chalk that up as a win for the year.
So zero, right? So in other words, we're not trying to cover the whole $114,000. We're trying to cover the 77,000 in the revenues that we bring in. Or did I misinterpret?
I was suggesting that our aspiration is cover the whole thing. And understand, like, I think the hesitation we've had thus far in trying to cover the whole
It's the reality.
is the reality that
Yeah.
we haven't managed to do it. There's some cost, there's some collection, there's some holes that we still need to identify. And if we set an aspirational goal of balancing it, and we, at the end of the year, look back and have covered the cost to actually dispose of the waste, then that feels like a non-failure benchmark.
We do have,
It's not an A+, but it's a progress.
yeah, there's time during the year if you wanna adjust the fee schedule for things, the ticket fees, things like that, that we can have an open discussion with the residents and talk about the challenges or why we need to increase these. and talk more about what kind of systems you guys want to do. If you want to switch to stickers or doing specific trash bags or anything like that. I mean, there's a good amount of time if we can just.
Right, so I think there's
Meeting it.
so I think there's a runway aspect of that timeline associated with that as well. Right, we know that we know we're not gonna come to a conclusion on this January, I forget what the next meeting is, January 22nd or whatever. So we know it's gonna take us time to iterate through, look at different options, get public input, make changes. And then we also know that whatever changes we put in are still kind of an unknown as to what's gonna happen with it. Right, I mean, even if we look at, I just looked at, going back several years to say like, again, how is this fishtailed over the years? The ups and downs are the only thing that's constant. But when we look at this and we look at the recycle tickets, again, as an example, right? Hey, 2024, we got this, we said we'll probably do about the same in 2025 and not even close, right? Like 2/3 as much in 2025 as 2024. So if we're trying to balance recycling costs with recycle ticket costs, that actually we weren't even trying to balance that here. So like that seems like an unlikely thing that we're gonna suddenly get.
Well, especially because we're a little committed on the recycle tickets right now. It would be weird to suddenly, like in March, say, now recycle tickets for this year are $60 instead of $50. And now then bottom $50, but now anyone buys $60.
I mean, it'll make a small change at least,
Yeah,
but by the end of the year, we can see if it made a difference, if we need to bring it up a little bit. I mean, like you guys said, it's less than $1 a week.
we've also talked about changing two variables at the same time, which is gonna make this hard to see what the impact of each is, because we've raised the revenue and we also wanna verify that they're being checked. And if we do both of those things, we don't really know. If revenue does go up, we're not really gonna know whether it's because the ticket, but we'll know the quantity of tickets sold. But
If we have more than 42 tickets next year,
yeah,
they've been checked more.
right. Be good to get more public feedback on what people think. I mean, for all I know, everyone in town says, why do we even have a transfer station? Even the people that use it might think that. I mean, I don't think that, but I don't think that's the case, but it could be the case. In which case we just say, fine, we're not gonna have a transfer station.
Well, that's the other piece that comes into my little philosophical concept as well is, well, out of town people use the service too. Do we charge them something to have the privilege of throwing their bags of trash in our dumpster to help offset the cost of having staff or having equipment or whatever?
Yeah, that was a suggestion, and I, just because we're talking about it, I wanted to mention it because I told them I would. So I had one person ask if we would consider doing maybe Saturdays and like a Wednesday. I see a lot of issues with that just because availability of transfer station attendance for the middle of the week. And how many residents would actually use that in the middle of the week. And then another one they had suggested was charging more for non-residents. I don't see how we could be able to track that unless we completely take over transfer station ticket sales again. Just because I wouldn't expect Wills to ask people, are you res or not? And who's gonna actually.
Well, even if we did, how do you, when the person walks up with the bag of trash and a ticket, now we have the attendants checking for their.
Yeah, the attendants
driver's
check their
license?
license.
Well, and it's
Face recognition.
It's really more complicated than that, because we have non-resident property owners who are paying taxes, paying into the maintenance of the transfer station under this hypothetical. And
Yeah,
then we
they
have
get
people
double
who
charged essentially.
own and live in Williamstown who are coming here to throw things away. I don't worry so much about the other towns. I take things to other towns' transfer stations when it's advantageous. It's much cheaper to get rid of a mattress in Royalton than it is here. And I have to pass it anyway, most of the time. I suspect that the the root of our solid waste cost problem is not out of town trash coming here.
Yeah, I would think that's on the fringes.
Well, if it makes us all feel better, somebody did from another town was talking with Jen the other day, and they also have a massive operating deficit on their transfer station and are looking for ideas as well. So it's not just us that's faced with this.
Yeah, the
So if
price.
we can send our trash to
That's what I was
that
thinking.
Would it be allowed?
before they notice.
Yeah, unfortunately, the operating costs from Myers and Casella are just significant. I mean, when last year when we were looking into possibly switching to save money, Casella was $10 more a month. And
The only piece of this that I can't wrap my head around is if private trash pickup is financially viable for enough people that do it, that are still being picked up and ultimately going to Casella, how is it possible that it can be the same price or cheaper to pay a guy to drive a truck around to pick up trash to bring it to the same place as it is for them to do nothing but pick up a dumpster once a month? I can't figure out why the cost. How are they able to do it private trash collection cheaper?
Is it cheaper?
It's not cheaper.
Well, but from what I've heard, well, so how does it compare relative?
I think it's $60 a month right now. And when I sat and did the math,
So that'd be like
We were at-
10 bags of trash a month.
yeah, we were under $10 a month difference in what it would cost to have them pick up the house.
But I guess what I'm saying is $60 a month to pay a guy to drive a truck from who knows where to people's houses individually to pick up trash. And we're having that as a conversation of, well, how much more expensive is that than none of that overhead is weird to me. Like, I don't. Like, it sounds like it should be $200.
The economy of scale seems like it's going in the wrong direction.
Right, it should be cheaper for everyone to individually bring their trash to one place than it is to pay a guy to drive around and pick up trash from everywhere. And yet it sounds like it's not that far off, that there are people that do it.
Yeah, I mean, we personally do it because I get to leave town on Saturdays, if I don't have to go to the dump.
Just throw in a ditch, someone else will take it.
You get really mad when I do that. I try to put it in your front yard.
Knew that was you, I saw.
But no, I think some of it is that the only reason that Casella can do it is that they limit whether or not they will service your house based on whether there's another house within a certain number of feet of your house. And they're on lots of roads that they won't do. But the reason that we were able to get it is because our neighbor had it and they were based on, the next house up the road.
Okay, that's an odd business model itself.
It is. It seems to create very strange routes. I think it is cheaper. I think the dollar per pound is quite a lot cheaper at the transfer station than it is curbside.
Yeah.
currently, because of what we have.
Cause
But one of those two variables that we're talking about changing
so,
is a factor there.
yeah. It just seems to me to be, back to this. It seems to me we can write the numbers however we want. It seems to me that it's probably infeasible for us to assume that we're gonna balance the cost versus the expense. Like,
Right, if we do an amazing job balancing and end up with more revenue than expenses at the transfer station, or more revenue than we expected.
Yeah.
Less of a deficit than we expected, we would all be thrilled, right? I hesitate to estimate it to be zero
right,
when
how,
there's no indication historically that we've ever done it, and prior steps actually seem like they went.
yeah, how would we justify?
I don't have a problem with not reflecting it as zero. I think that the aspiration, whether it's reflected here or not, in approaching the conversation going forward, should be not to sell ourselves short. Cutting it in half and actually ending up doubling it is, it isn't working. And so I'm not excited about the cost of the transfer station going up, but it is a thing that is happening.
We definitely have to increase rates without a doubt. It's just that in order for me to be able to justify to somebody, well, how'd you make it so that the budget for 2026 balances?
well, we're gonna have to, it'll be $20 to get rid of a bag of trash, which we know is never gonna happen. Like, I think we just have to be realistic with what we are projecting that we are ever gonna be able to get.
By the
To
way, I
answer
had,
your question, that is what it would cost for Casella to pick up at everybody's house.
Well, that's not, spread over the whole town.
is it more than 100
It's 648,000. It's the backup with napkin math. For
See, like, that makes it seem so crazy to me, because it would never be that. If we just gave, if Casella contracted with the town to do town trash pickup, I don't know that I think that they would just take the number of people and multiply it by the per, because it's the same thing. If you have 20 houses at the end of a road and they're gonna pick up all of their trash, it's not gonna be the same as 20 houses over 20 miles.
Yeah.
So like, it's wild to me that we can literally assume that they're functionally making dedicated trips to every house in town for 6 times what it's costing us to have everyone drive it themselves to one place and then get rid of it.
Oh, I only did this to
Well, I think it's
illustrate that it's apples and oranges. It looks cheaper and it is worth $10 a month to me to have Saturdays, but it's not cost effective at all. It's a very silly way to handle trash.
All right.
All right, so if we just look at the 25 full, this is close to, or actually should be full year now, not just year to date. But if we look at 2025 for solid waste disposal, we had about 84,000. And if we look at the revenues, so we didn't even, like, ignoring payroll and everything else, we almost but didn't even balance just against the actual solid waste disposal. So that strikes me as something that at least we should be able to do that much, but maybe eat into a little bit of the cost of the equipment and payroll and so on. The other thing that I kind of wonder, and I know we didn't have full year numbers until this weekend, but I'm wondering if these numbers are even, if our budget numbers are even big enough for the expenses, right? 84,000, right? Our budget for 2026 is actually lower than 2023 actuals, 2024 actuals, 2025 actuals, and the rates are going up. So I'm even questioning if these numbers should maybe be a little bit higher.
Those came from our folks at the transfer station.
They're just based on previous year.
They're based on previous year's budget or previous year's, right? Because 38 and 38, 26 and 26.
I agree. We should probably make those a little closer to at least the year to date for 2025.
Even that with a 5% cushion.
Do we know what the percent is that the cost went up? Does anybody know that?
For what, Greg?
The for the solid waste disposal.
You mean what we're
I
being
know, like
charged?
the compost scraps, I know we had looked at that separately. We knew that cost was going up. I don't know if we have any sense of.
I don't think we got any kind of informational thing from Myers that says
Yeah, I have
it's going up as a tonnage.
to get
I
that
mean,
right.
The 24.
And unfortunately, on things like tires, we don't know. Like, we know that we spent more on tires, but we don't break that out as a revenue category, so we don't know if we're breaking even on tires or.
Well, tires is an easy one for us to raise the rates, because our rates are too low on tires, so. I see no reason not to budget a higher number for tires than what we have, because.
But my point is, on the revenue side, we don't break that out. We don't have a separate, like, each of these expenses, we don't have
Oh, I see what
construction
you're
and
saying.
demolition revenue. We don't have a metals, well, actually, we do have a metals for.
Well, because metal get us revenue.
Yes,
What's your metal cost? What's the metals cost?
Some metals cost 147 and we got 261. What's the cost?
Take out the way.
It varies because we get, they pick it up, they charge us a pickup fee,
Oh, I see.
depending on how much metal is worth. We either get a check back or
I see.
just get a credit on the invoice.
It seems like that 77,405 should at least be the 83,773 for the coming year, just to cover. People don't seem to throw less away every year. But
Yeah.
I don't, that's trending up too. It was 80, 64, 67, 86. Well, 23 was a big year, but
Well, 20, yeah, exactly. I was gonna say 23 is kind of a natural anomaly, right? But it's hard, it's hard.
the dump or the flood, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to imagine this number not being closer to 90. Which then just exasperates the problem.
So do you wanna just true them down, like waste oil, we only spent 570, do you wanna bring that down to 600? Compost, I believe, is what we're gonna have to pay anyway.
I mean, we can tweak.
The compost you can't tweak, because that's what's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can't change that one.
Do we change them right now, Greg, or is there a different area that has to be done?
No, I can change them right now and we can see what that looks like. So waste oil, we were saying we can cut that one in half, right?
Yeah.
It'll save you, however much they said, $5,000 for. the-
600, is that it? Or
Yeah,
500,
yeah,
you said?
576, just in case.
yeah.
It's 570 right now, so.
You know, we could save a small amount, if we just don't offer construction dumpster this year. I think we only did one pickup this year, right?
Might have been two.
We might have been two. But we tried to bring that down because it was coming to be quite a bit of money. So like, yeah, we were spending 10,000 in 2024. We went
I'll refresh after we get all of them.
5,900 in 25.
And you're saying that's because we just had one dump this year versus like maybe two in the other years or
Yeah,
something?
we limited it to like 1 or 2 pickups, and just told folks, hey, we're done. It's a small amount though. I don't think it's
I
significant,
mean, ultimately, right,
That's the
these are,
big
these are,
dumpster that's next to the chutes.
just in the summer.
yeah. I mean, ultimately, right, these are the big numbers. Right? This is,
First ones to tackle.
yeah. And again, I find it hard to imagine the recycling is gonna be lower. If anything, I would think that's probably gonna be more like 30. And I would think that the solid waste is more likely to go up to like 45 or something.
Yeah, put those in there. Let's make this worse.
We're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
But it's at least-
Well, it's the wrong direction, but hopefully, yeah.
Well, keeping in mind,
Yes.
these are supposed to be offset by the user.
You can put up a sign, anybody wants to make extra donation.
I'm all on board.
Well, folks also have the choice of the new, place in Berry to be dropping off stuff. We took off certain things, I mean, it's more work for other people, but
Disposal by donation only. Sometimes you make more money at that. There's no cover fee, but we accept donations.
Yeah, so that still actually comes up shy. Oh, you know what, what did we, I think I put the wrong number. What did we say for this one? 45?
You said like 45, I think.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Be nice to find out how many unique visitors we have on average each weekend.
Yeah, I'm still confused about out of town residents disposing in our area. I guess it doesn't matter as long as you're paying, but
Yeah.
I can remember when I first moved back here and I went to the transfer station. I don't know who was working. Maybe it wasn't Snook because they know me. The first question they asked me was, "Is this Chelsea trash?" So like,
Were they
yeah.
looking you in the eye when they said that?
They weren't talking about your holding, Paul.
Oh, they're talking about what was in the bags.
All right, so this, for the expense side of it, this feels a little bit more realistic. You know, right, climbing up over the last several years. I don't know that we're gonna do much of a better job estimating that anyway. But it still comes back to the question of, okay, if solid waste disposal is 87, almost 88,000. All right, how much of that do we really think we can balance?
Well, yeah.
Recycle tickets, this seems like well, actually, we had settled on this number, I think, because we had said if we increase the rate and enforce it, I think we had looked at that combination of things as being more reasonable, right? But even in 2020,
It's a pretty significant number. I mean, I haven't even sold 300 tickets. So,
This year?
yeah,
For 2026?
25.
Oh, you said, yeah. So you're.
So that's 15 grand estimated for this next year at $50 a pop.
right, so if we got, the budgeted amount was based on, the budgeted amount for 2025 was based on same rate, same number of tickets as 2024.
Mhm.
If we said, okay, if we assume that maybe 2025, we ended up with fewer because not as many people actually bought them. If we took 2024 and said, okay, instead of $13,000 for $40 tickets, if we actually enforce it and the same number of people actually get them.
The number was
Then-
16.5.
What was that?
16.5.
Yeah, so if that number goes up to 16.5, that feels like a more reasonable guess to me than 26.
Yeah.
Is everybody good with that?
Yep, and I think we have to be I think we have to be willing to sell recycle tickets on the site.
We don't have any mechanism to be able to do that.
I know we don't have that currently. I think we just something we're gonna talk about. I think just to so they're empowered to say, oh, you don't have a ticket, here you go, I'll sell you one. And everybody's taken care of that way. Even I don't know, maybe it's we could that's a whole another conversation. Just
Maybe
that's
could take it to put a one of those fancy neighborhood arms. Can't come in without the ticket.
no ticky, no.
Yeah. Good one.
Shouldn't we
Looking
show?
for a recycling word that rhymes with ticky.
I mean, isn't it? It wouldn't be unreasonable to show the solid waste tickets and fees matching the disposal cost here, would it? As a complete 100% offset.
We're close to that now. The solid waste fees and the solid waste tickets right now
Mhm.
is basically 85,000 and change compared to 80. Yeah. Wish I could turn off that. Does anybody know how to turn that off?
No.
The hover text.
Ask
So
Jeeves.
we're not far away from that right now.
Okay.
It
see
still
that.
means that overall, we're still looking at being, 20,000.
Well,
But
if you go back up to fees, I mean, we got 20,006. So why is it only at 15,000?
wait, say that again.
The solid waste fees for revenue? The year to date says we made 20,000.
Sorry, what is solid waste fees?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Gil.
That's cash that came in.
Oh, okay.
So they still take cash and
Retirements
checks.
or-
Yeah. Okay.
like that.
A lot of cash apparently.
Well, some of it's check, but most of it's probably cash.
Yeah. So why don't we raise that?
Well, so I think when we had stubbed this in, we kind of said, it doesn't really matter, because it's the combination of these two things that matters. If we put 20, that's fine. it's still a matter of what else are we gonna get for the tickets.
Right.
Look how it's even.
20, it was, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
right, it was, remember, it was all cash.
And it was higher than it ever was. In 2024, it went, well, I mean, 2023 is the anomaly again, but.
Yeah.
In 2024, it was 76 between the two. In 2025, we're at 68. So
Even,
we've dropped revenue since 2024.
yeah, so even if you look at, exactly, even if you look at, right, 2020, 2021, 2022, right, these actuals were humming right along. at
And our
about-
fees have gone
about
up since
80.
then. That was a lower fee structure back then. So we are collecting less money
Yeah.
on higher tickets. So either people are throwing away less trash, which there's no suggestion of in our expenses.
Yep.
Or we are just not punching tickets and asking for money.
Yeah, that's it. Those numbers are prior to the tickets.
And it looks like as soon as we started doing the tickets, we took in less money.
Yeah, it only looks that way because, that's true. Yeah, we went from again, 80,000-ish to, to
76.
76, but we did also get recycled tickets, which we didn't get before, right?
Well, that's true, but we weren't,
So suddenly we got 90,000-ish total. But then this year we're back to under 80,000, including recycled
but
tickets.
we weren't charging people for recycling previously, correct?
Correct. So we still had expenses for recycling.
Right.
But sorry, again.
Yeah, now some people don't need it, but.
But so I guess with less opportunities to take in money, because we weren't charging for recycling, we were taking more money in for just trash at a lower rate than we were taking in for both trash and recycling with a higher rate. So
Kind of feels like it went the wrong way.
You want to answer Marion's question?
Oh, I didn't realize you had your hand up. Sorry, Marianne. Go ahead, Marianne.
It's okay. I'm gonna write a position paper about the transfer station, but I'm just gonna say one thing right now. It was the recycling tickets that kind of broke the camel's back here, because that was not a fair thing. It wasn't you guys, whenever the select board changed the recycling so that it was one fee for every household. Now, some households maybe have 8 people and, 6 kids, to a parent, who knows what they are, but they're going to produce a lot more recycling than, let's take my case, little old lady just living by herself and trying to conserve trash. I don't have anywhere near $50 in a year, and I will not pay that. So I've made alternative plans. So I throw out like one bag of recycling every quarter. And I'll tell you what, I'm just taking it to Barry, and it's $2.50. There's no way people who are, you have to incentivize less trash to break even or to make money. And in fact, that's what you want to do to save the environment, right? So I think the recycling stickers, I mean, I know you have to balance the budget, but that recycling sticker thing, that's got to go. You got to make some changes with that. So it has to be based on the amount that you're recycling. Plus, there are a lot of people that maybe that broke the back, and then they're like, well, I'm not even going to waste my time on Saturday. I'm just going to go get Casella's just going to come to my house. I know my neighbors, a lot of them are doing that. I mean, it's because they don't want to waste their time. And when it costs more money there, it makes sense. Do you see what I'm saying? The transfer station in Chelsea has to be a service that is to benefit to the people, not something like the most expensive thing possible, because people will always incentivize themselves to do whatever is, they're going to say, look, the inflationary environment, this has to go up like everything, but that recycling thing was not a good idea. And I have some ideas, and I'll write a position paper on it. It's too much to tell you right now, but
Okay.
yeah.
No, I'd appreciate that. This is something, I'm not sure if you've been following the last several meetings. We've been kicking this one around quite a bit because it clearly, the intent and the reality are clearly not lining up.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing here is, if you just look at, if you can see my screen where I'm highlighting what the recycling costs have been for us.
Yeah.
And that continues to tick upwards.
Yeah.
Even though, but so what this tells me, or maybe us, is I think a lot of people are just sneaking in their recycling, right? They're still putting as much recycling in. They're just not buying the tickets or whatever.
No,
right?
or
They're not
if
doing what you're doing and going somewhere else.
Well, the other thing I could do is I could just put it in a trash bag and use one click on a ticket, and it would only be $3. And I could just do $3 4 times a year, and there wouldn't be any recycling. And there is a question of, is it really recycled? We don't actually know that. So it's kind of a weird thing to, you want to incentivize recycling, but you're charging more really for it than the trash. It's a problem. I agree. And this is something that Chelsea needs to work on.
Yeah, so we've already identified this as like a much bigger can of worms, and maybe we recycle the can. So we know that there's more to go through on it. The short-term question here is, and again, this kind of falls into what I was talking about earlier of, hey, we know we've got a handful of like big issues we need to tackle, and this is one of them. So we know we're going to have to revisit this over the course of several meetings, get more public input, look at different alternatives, understand the incentives or counter incentives. The question that comes back to for tonight is to say, hey, what do we think is realistic for what we go at? If we say, I was gonna say is if we say, okay, yeah, recycling, we know something is still amiss with recycling, but if we at least go back to 2024 levels and say, hey, if the same people that bought in 2024 buy in 2026 at a slightly higher rate, maybe that still doesn't work. Maybe it gets us, but that's not where the majority of our problem is anyway. The majority of our problem is how in the heck did we go from, getting $80,000 a year to less than 70 when we know that our trash expenses are all going up too.
Okay. So it's because less people are using the transfer station in Chelsea. They're doing other things, but I'll thank you for that. I think you have to aim to make it sustainable and balance and do the best you can.
Yeah, I agree. So from an aiming standpoint, sorry, did you have
No.
So from an aiming standpoint, back to the question of, hey, what do we aim at for 2026? We can adjust this if we think fees of 20,000 are reasonable. That's fine. It's still going to be a question of how do we adjust the tickets for what we think we're going to get.
What was the total for the payroll facilities?
So the everything else total is 36,000.
6. Okay.
Yeah.
And your bottom line difference right now is around 21.
21, yeah.
Around 5ish. So to me, this is still representing covering people covering their own costs plus a little more. That's a story you could sell here.
Yes. So the revenues we bring in cover solid waste disposal and part of the way we have it budgeted right now. But again, there's a question of if we only brought in 80,000, is 100,000 really realistic? But right now with what we have in here, we would say, hey, that 100,000 that we're bringing in covers the solid waste disposal and part of the cost of payroll and facilities maintenance and all that stuff.
Yep.
And it would be a lower deficit than 2025, even though that's way off of what the intended budget for 2025 was.
And I think with some deliberate work, the actuals for 26 through the first quarter, maybe through the second quarter, will give us an idea of how it's going with enforcement.
In terms of whether or not we see the recycling ticket cost actually, or revenue actually coming in, we see waste fees.
Because it'll be that surge at the beginning of the year where people are buying tickets and then it just drops off probably, unless somebody does it at the very end of the year like I did.
But again, that's one of those things like, thank you for truing it up, but why didn't anybody know that until the end of the year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Like that should have been your first trip in January. Somebody should have been looking, right?
Yep.
So the $70,000 in tickets still feels, without a plan to actually
Yeah, I would drop. it
require
down
that
to like
people
55.
pay.
Sorry, you're talking about this item?
Yeah, that feels $22,000 higher than last year's year to date, even with a plan for stricter enforcement. Feels ambitious.
I mean, for the fees part of it, right? So these would be the times where people are paying with check or cash because of tires or whatever. I mean, this has been 20,000 for 2 years in a row. I don't know if we want to make this 20,000 just to level it, but then all we would do is offset that again here. So it's a little bit of
The sum of those two numbers that.
it's the sum of the two that matters, yeah. We could even just budget all of it in one bucket and just recognize that the reality is gonna be split.
Even if we moved that up to 20 and the number below it down to 65, that's
Same total.
that's a percentage wise huge improvement in ticket punches.
Yeah, going from 70,000 approximately, right, 69 and change to 85. I mean, that's an extra 15,000 by being more diligent, maybe.
And the ticket punch cards they're not per year, right? They just carry over.
They do, and that's another thing that we can't really account for well is we don't know how many unpunched holes there are out there.
Yep.
That we've already collected money for.
Where we've already got money, but owe somebody 6 bags of trash to throw away.
Yeah. No, when you start talking about, $15,000 is that come out to 5,000 bags of trash. That's a lot of punches that we're missing. Like a lot of punches.
Yeah,
Are we gonna have 15,000 more punches in our tighter enforcement?
I think the size of the bag is the big problem. You're getting a single punch when you should get a double punch or something like that. So it's not. I think that's the misconception is that it seems like we're throwing away less, but I think we're just charging less.
So again, I don't think we're gonna be able to think our way through or work our way through all of it here. I think that's gonna have to be that a series of meetings and discussions and pondering. But I do still wonder from a targeting standpoint, do we look at this and say, yeah, is 21,000, reasonable given a history of what we have had? To Paul's point, it covers solid waste disposal and part of the fixed costs associated with it. Is that close enough for what we want, or do we want to try to take a bigger bite out of this? Or a smaller bite out of it?
I think I'm comfortable.
Yeah. I think I want to take a bigger bite, and I'm concerned that for the conveying the scale of the issue in abstract made up numbers, that to show that we've got a giant deficit at the transfer station.
Yeah.
And why now there's a group of people harassing you to punch your card and to see your sticker. The annoyance and the effort doesn't, it feels like a monumental undertaking for $20,000. It feels more reasonable for $35,000. It feels even more reasonable for, I don't know, what could very well be $50,000 in the hole, if the downward trend continues. I feel okay about it.
All right. The only other question I'll ask then is, do we want to, again, this has been kind of riding along at 20-ish. Do we want to make this 20?
Yeah.
Make this a nice round 65?
Yep.
And go with that. You good with that, Paul?
Yep.
Still shows a $15,000 drop from 25 budget.
Are you gonna move the status to preliminary, Greg? So we can, like, hey, look at that.
I am actually gonna change it to, once we settle on everything, I'm gonna change it to proposed when
There you
we're
go.
ready to send this to the printer, but,
I feel like we skipped a
For now.
color. Paul's been waiting for orange to
I
come.
know. All right, so let me just refresh this one more time so we can see what the final numbers look like. All right, so that brings in 102,200. We still expect expenses of almost 124, so we're still gonna be almost 22 in the hole, hopefully better than 2025 year to date. Not too far different than what it had been. I mean, again, it was a roller coaster previously, but not unheard of for some of the past year's actuals.
What's causing that roller coaster?
2023 is again. odd.
Yeah, but what about 21 and 2? It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter, but it's just our revenue was pretty steady on those years at that mid-80s. So it's weird that we're varying like over $20,000. Where is that popping in? And I don't see it here. Recycling jumped, but not by that much. And everything else is similar. What changed? And these are all the same.
We had a payroll increase. We had.
So there's a
That's
big
actually
one.
down.
Solid waste equipment is the big one.
Oh yeah, might have been a big one for that
Yeah,
year.
we had a lot of repairs when we had to put
Okay.
those gates up there.
Sounds like a subcommittee. We're gonna really dive into this.
Excellent. All right, so this was not the last thing on our list, so we've still got more fun to tackle.
We got
Um,
3 more hours.
Let me flip back.
Who has 3 more hours?
Actually, here.
I've got more than that.
Let me get these things open.
You must have taken 12. Pretend that you're off.
So I heard you volunteer to take over the computer when I go home and in bed.
All right, so just looking at what we've got, so. We didn't, sorry, no, it's already sorted. So an education tax refund. Gail, did we have?
You could put 25,000.
25,000?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's actually a big thing for us. That'll be helpful. I think, right? This is
Yeah.
this is a revenue.
Want
That's
to change
good.
your SB meeting?
Oh, thank you. Oh, shoot, I just,
Now it's gone.
I'll go find that one later. I won't drag you guys through that. All right, surplus funds. So again, we're still waiting on those two. Would it be both of them or is it just one?
The 62. You're not gonna have.
Was that the surplus or was that the prior year surplus? Sorry. Surplus is the 62, prior year surplus was the 100.
Yeah.
So we won't have the 62. So this is 0.
Use SPDD.
Thank you. And then this one is the one where we're gonna get Chad to look at, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have any idea, like, we don't even have a ballpark, we have no idea if that's gonna be 0 or anything, right? Okay. All right, select board legal fees, I think, have we already cleared this one out? We haven't really talked about it much. Let me flip back to, here. So select board legal fees. Did I already remove it? We already got rid of that. We don't need it for anything, right?
No, we have a line item down below, so.
Oh, I just forgot to tag. Select board technology. Do we need that one or is that another admin one?
That up and I can print my note.
So we had a 500 in here. And we used it for something. This one's
Did I put anything in when I sent it to you?
in yours.
Technology in the other categories is
It's computer stuff, right?
but it's the company that we pay for tech support.
Yeah.
Oh, is that for like Teams
And so like when we add a new user,
Yeah, that was
Oh.
all the emails and stuff. That's what it was. Yep.
Okay.
Put a note there.
So I suppose you could drop it down to 400. I mean, we aren't,
I changes the 8th decimal in our.
Yeah. All right, so
I mean, we can drop it down. It's a small amount, but there's only 2 possible new emails that would be switching out.
so this is support for things like new board member emails. Teams access, okay.
Today.
Oh, top, sorry.
Ah.
I'm so eager to change the number, I know. Sorry, I'll have the good news is I can see exactly when each of these was changed, I can see the full history on it, so I'll clean that up tonight after dinner. Select board postage,
I think we got rid of that. Yeah.
yeah, I don't see it, okay. I think I had it flagged because we had it in prior years.
And any postage will be tyranny.
Yeah, and I have my own stuff that I can use for it.
Change the top box.
I know. I was waiting for somebody to remind me for a.
Would be your first move.
It should be my first move. I'm so eager to type the number.
0.
I love numbers. I love numbers so much.
box unchecked, that's all.
The grants administrator.
Yeah, no beamer.
No beamers, okay.
She's need.
You have to work a certain amount of hours to get that.
Okay, not sure we, oh, date. Town clerk retirement, is there no retirement?
She's not allowed to retire.
I was gonna ask,
Perhaps forever.
does she have retirement with her other job?
I don't know.
She can get it through town. I mean, I don't know if we can do the beamers, but I do the 3%
Yeah,
match. She could do if she wants.
no, she's listening still.
Yeah.
She's dead asleep on
She's
the
probably
couch.
asleep, yeah.
I am listening.
Do you wanna do the retirement thing? It would be 3% out of your check. 3% match.
I don't know. I wasn't prepared to answer this question. I guess I might as well.
Yeah, I mean, you get
But-
something.
Yeah. I don't want to complicate things tonight.
Well, we would just need to fill that number.
Yeah, I can, it would be 3%, so we can just take 3% of your, same as mine.
Okay.
We can complicate it without you, Jen.
And I'll get you the paperwork so you can call the guy. Set it up. All right,
Okay, so I'll leave that one flagged until we get that number and put it in.
Only Curtis's house that keeps the flags up.
Assistant treasurer salary. So we had, I guess, a much lower,
yeah, she's doing more than my previous assistant because I had to have somebody do reconciliations other than me, so she's doing those.
also from a standpoint of like a checks and balances.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, the toilet paper holder just bounced out and tried to kill me. I don't know how. I just started pulling and it went, boop.
It's on.
I wish.
All right. Treasurer retirement, I think you already did these, right? I must have just not filed them.
Yeah, because I make sure I checked you on that.
Yeah, but everything else in your spreadsheet was the same. External auditor, I had already put in the higher amount of the two bids, so I don't need to change that one, but I will. Flag it. Zoning admin salary, why was I asking to double check this? Was that just, maybe I was looking at the hourly rate and the actual amount?
It may also be
Is that-
some weirdness because of the Two Rivers contracts for that
Yeah.
year. Be a big anomaly in the spreadsheet.
Let's keep that one flagged then, and Gail, if you can double check that. Make sure that we haven't messed up the math on that.
Yeah.
I can circle back with you later on this week.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, you're only working tomorrow. Well,
I'll be
are you? You're only officially working tomorrow.
officially working tomorrow, probably Friday.
Okay. Community nurse. So this one is just flagged as a matter of whether we carry forward with what we had done previously. I know we were leaning towards it, but it's a big item. You want to chat about this one, or do you want to carry on with the path previously set forth?
I don't feel like we actually have anything to base the decision on. From 3 months of
Yeah.
trying to figure it out.
And we have no clue if the health center will chip in 50% again next year. Technically, it would be,
Well, I would.
start in October to this coming October.
So I think if we, from a budgeting standpoint, if the money is there and then we decide that it's not working out and we terminate it, that just helps create surplus. That's fine, right? That would be way better than only budgeting a portion of it and then deciding that we want to extend it or increase it.
Though, if we only used a quarter of the budgeted funds last year, we should have $15,000 surplus that was earmarked.
Right,
Is that the end of it?
except that exactly, from a line item standpoint, that's true. It just gets lost in all the other expenses that were way over.
That's your recycling right there.
Let's see, another question for you, Gail, on the Beamers for solid waste.
Yeah.
Oh, is that gonna be a big change for us? Is that? Sorry, let me get that.
How many flies did you release off it?
I say keep the door open tomorrow. I don't know.
I don't think we have it in there.
Throw my water.
No, jeez.
Yes, my nice TV.
Couldn't handle a glove. I don't know what an algae would do to it.
I do.
So,
We'll be done talking about the budget.
oh, so that, right, so no Beamers, right, so the budget itself.
We'll
So this
do
is their
that.
actual salary, not the Beamers. So that's correct. Sorry. For a minute there, I thought we might have just gotten a bunch of money, but we didn't. Oh, and I forgot to.
The good news is you've done some of them, so.
I know. Well, I'll go, like I said, I'll go back and look at the date stamp on all the records. Solid waste dues.
Yeah, we have to pay that central Vermont every year.
Who do we pay? Pay to the state?
Central Vermont solid waste.
WS.
Way too many letters.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is, like, we just, for the honor of.
Yeah.
There's an M.
You can get rid of hazardous waste at their drop-off facility by being a member town, right?
Yeah, I think, they'll set up, the drop-offs for paints and stuff like that at certain towns.
It's what the storm grants for.
And I think we can have a representative, or we're supposed to have a representative on their board, but we don't have one.
Yeah.
All right, this was this is just carrying forward from last year, that additional salary, which has now all been decided, so we don't even need it. So I'll delete this later. But don't need that concept anymore.
No maintenance fees.
No maintenance fee, okay.
$5.
You'd think I would learn.
By the
I'm just trying to make all of you feel better, you know.
About our inability to remind you.
Let's not dwell on that statement. The petition requested,
I don't have the final amount yet. I haven't trued it up yet.
okay, we have all of the petitioned items.
Yeah.
And so we'll want to review those next meeting. Or
Yeah,
actually,
we'll have to do that anyway.
you can
for the warrant.
post, right, so you can post those for us to review ahead of time.
Mhm.
And then we'll cover them as part of our, before we settle on the budget to do the other stuff. Okay,
Yeah, because that'll be part of the budget and part of the warning.
so I'll just leave that flagged.
But yeah, I should have that done probably next week.
Okay, again, highway property taxes, again, we'll balance
Yeah.
that as the last thing. The overtime, initially, I was wondering, should we just roll that into the base?
No,
No, it has to be a separate thing? or-
yeah, because now, for the next couple of years anyway, they can, claim that on their taxes, so it's best if it's separated out.
What else have we got? Oh, insurance opt-outs, is that not a thing anymore, or is zero just an accurate number?
Zero, because if somebody comes and doesn't want the insurance, then they would be eligible for the opt-out.
Okay, so we're not budgeting for it because we have no indication that would happen, but
Right.
in theory,
And we budgeted for a third person, so we're budgeted if they decide to do that, not the insurance anyway.
okay. Retirement is 0 for
But is it?
retirement for highway? But
Yeah,
I think
because they have
that's separate.
beamers. You can actually delete that, as long as you have a line for beamers.
Yeah, which let me flip to
Yeah,
that.
because they used to have retirement, but then we switched to beamers, so it's retirement a different way.
So many lines. Yeah, so Beamers is
Yeah.
here,
Yeah, so we can get rid
but,
of that.
okay. So that was just in prior years. So we don't do both. It's one or the
No.
other. Sorry, so it's not even an option anymore. We can,
No, just for Jen and I, just do the regular IRA, because,
no, I guess what I'm wondering is, do I need to even carry forward with? these
no,
types of
because
line
any
items?
highway worker has to take beamers, they can't, they have no choice.
Okay. Cool. I'll work some of these comments into the actual codes as well so that we can track that for eternity. Additional salary expense, that's the same as the other stuff. We've already got that worked into the rest of the updates. So now we've just got a few water, wastewater things. I'm thinking these are probably,
So we've resolved that. I think we've resolved all of these.
okay.
What, I think we've left them flagged to revisit. Whether, so the contracted prices have a cushion built into the budget.
Right, there's like an annual 4% increase or so. I forget what it is.
There's an increase and there's usually a $3,000 cushion, and then with the anticipation of the wastewater rebuild of part of the plant that our meeting Thursday is on, they've built in an additional $10,000 to make sure that there's budgeted funds to cover
Okay.
the time that the guys will have to be there for that work.
Okay, so the increase here though this is correct for the coming year. So I don't need that part, but I can leave the other comment here though that just notes that it increases and unflag it. That's kind of nice having long comments at the end. It makes the list look shorter.
Yeah.
Overtime, sewer. Oh, this is kind of the same question, I think. So, so part of this is that Rick is getting overtime when he helps.
Yeah, depending, if he's only got 38 hours highway and he works 2 at the sewer, it won't be
Right.
overtime, but if it is, then we put it towards the sewer.
Right, we're not asking to shortchange highway in order to do this. Okay. Oh. And then this one, oh, this is the same as before, right?
Yeah, it's split into water and sewer.
Okay.
But it's the
So
same.
I'll keep the whole comment in place, but we don't need to flag it for discussion, right?
Correct.
All right. So that means that we're down to a 6-fingered handful of items.
Amigo Montoya,
What was that?
Amigo Montoya,
Exactly.
I'm good for the 6-fingered man.
And I can give you Jen's retirement thing.
Oh, you got it already?
We could be down to 5 fingers.
Man.
$12.73.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
All right, now we're down to a 5-fingered hand. Even better. So if we look at where that puts us with everything,
Oh, I have one adjustment. Sorry,
You have one what?
one adjustment for my technology.
Okay.
You can find that, you can just put it at,
Yep.
500 instead. It's not much, but it's all enough work.
For technology.
Yeah, he's passed it.
Okay.
Actually, wait, which?
Every $100 counts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just bring that down to 400.
Oh, wow, way down.
Yeah.
Is that just the computer though?
Yeah, I think so. Why?
Cause, you also have fees on top of that,
Yeah, because I reached out to see if instead of getting a new PC and having a laptop, if we could just do
yeah,
docking.
actually, that would have been under your, should have been under your equipment. Office equipment. Isn't. Yeah, cause there's, I'll have to figure out how much it's gonna be, cause if that's just the computer, but there's also fees that we pay every month.
Oh, okay, so sorry. Then we just,
So that actually, it sounds to me like maybe we
It's why.
need to flag this.
yeah.
Okay.
Gail,
I know.
We're back to. We're back.
I
to
got
this.
rid of one, but Tierney added another.
don't put that on Tierney. I know who
We-
commanded that flag.
We all witnessed it.
Yeah, because that'll be nice, because he only said the docking station is like 250, and I just need help taking everything from my computer, getting it over to the laptop.
So we'll go from 2 town-owned computers down to 1 with a docking station.
Yeah, I think it's a little excessive to have both. I mean, I don't really need it. And I keep knocking my foot against my PC every time. Gail hears me all day go, "Ah."
So based on this, the highway funds that are not covered by revenues would be 777. That compares to 748 in the 2025 budget. So a little bit of an increase, not a huge increase. For general fund, we're still looking at a difference of 522, and that is still comparing to right 396 in 2025. So a bigger increase. So from a history standpoint, we didn't really make much of a dent, even though we adjusted a few things here.
You're down to 36 from 37.
Yeah, a little bit of a dent, not a big dent. Okay. Is there anything, so at this point, we still have a handful of items. The more clarity we can get from Chad, the better. I can share the updates as Gail gets numbers to me or confirms laptop, docking station, stuff like that. We can go through that. So hopefully we can have a really good view into near final numbers. So we have all the appropriations, we just need that number, right?
Yeah.
So the sooner we can get that stuff, I think the better for everybody to give it one last look through. And then assuming that we don't see anything drastic enough, we need an intermediate emergency meeting. We can tidy things up in the January 20th meeting. Get everything we need for the town report, including a warning. Is there anything else I'm forgetting?
I mean, next meeting will have to be the final number. Like,
Yeah.
We don't have any wiggle room for that. But yeah, I can, for the appropriations, I think it might sort of balance out, because some were asking for more, but there are a couple ones that didn't come back this year for appropriations. So it might balance out and be about the same that we had last year.
And do we have, each of them is supposed to have like their summary of what they do and everything to go in the report as well?
Yeah, I'll just have to compare, make sure if they submitted a report, if they had a petition that went to Jen.
Yeah,
So I have both. And if I'm missing anything, I'll reach out to them and ask for one.
okay.
But yeah, they should at least have the price that they're asking for.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other budget topics? Before
Not-
we,
Not number related, but who's our cemetery liaison? Is that you, Curtis? Part of the grounds kind of thing?
Good question.
Okay. Anyway, I added to the cemeteries report, the West Hill report. West Hill Cemetery report, I got that, so I added it onto that same report that was already in for review.
You just add it to the same document.
Yeah, it's just, I just put it at the bottom.
Yeah, that'll be clean, just to keep the cemeteries together.
yeah, they certainly from a sequential standpoint, it makes sense to do that. I think we need to just make sure that everybody knows that the cemetery commission doesn't cover. I always get lost in this. 'Cause
There's
the
a
West Hills-
small budget line item for the West Hill Cemetery, but
Yeah.
the folks in town don't come up on the hill to do anything like they do in town.
Yeah.
It's almost like a little different group.
Yeah, so as long as the information is credited separately, I think that's fine. Okay.
Cool.
So anybody else, anything on budget? We still got hours to go before midnight, you sure?
We're gonna hold executive session. That's where the black hole starts.
Do we have an item for executive session?
No,
We do now.
no,
We
we
do?
don't.
Yeah, we have to send Tierney to sit in the library for 2 hours. Or this won't be.
Normally I would love sitting in the library for 2 hours, but
Not at 9:30.
no.
All right, so we'll, let me close out. Just flipping back to the agenda here. So budget review we did. I'll try to connect also with Carrie when she's back and just make sure if she's got any concerns or whatever, I'll try to cover that with her, make sure that it's not, there's nothing that she's got questions about or uncertain about or whatever. Make sure that again, we're teed up as well as possible to be efficient in the next meeting. So to me, that looks like all of the items are completed except for executive session if needed and adjournment. So do we have anything for executive session? Nope. All right.
You don't want to talk about any highway stuff yet, right? As far as the staffing.
No, I want to do that with Rick if we can. So I'd like to tee that up for like happy highway meeting focus after budget and town report.
Okay.
Gotta make it
So
literally
like maybe a February meeting.
happy
okay,
highway.
We
metal.
can-
Already advertising it.
We should, I'll work with Curtis maybe and Rick to put a little agenda together for it so we can make sure to cover the
Yeah.
things that we've been punting.
Yeah, and again, I think it's worth maybe a little bit of reflection to see if there's anything else that maybe should be on the list that we're not thinking of because we're not taking a deep breath because we're going through 1,000 budget line items. So if there's other stuff that would be part of that as well. All right, that brings us to adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.